There we go, right on time. Hello, everybody. And it's 8 o'clock, and it's time for another night of good, wholesome association here on Carnivore Talk. And we're glad to see so many people in the chat already. We're going to get to them soon. And we have, of course, on screen, we have Jeff and Amy already. Now, if you would like to join us on screen, please do. That's what makes this so much fun. We've got room for 10. So there's 7 empty chairs available at this roundtable discussion. And the link, if you're on YouTube, is pinned to the top. And if you're not on YouTube, if you're over on X or Facebook, I'm going to post it again right now because you don't get to see all of that I've set up ahead of time. But it's good to see everybody. So I hope everybody's had a great weekend and a great day. I know I have. And let's look at our screen here. Jeff, how you been doing this week?
Been doing good. Still working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Been getting my barn ready for winter.
How much of a winter do you really have down there in Texas?
Well, I guess it depends on how big a wimp you are. I'm pretty much a cold weather wimp. I can't stand the cold. We have people come from up north that come down here and complain about how cold our winters are, and I think it's because we have a wet winter. You know, we don't have dry winters, and the cold just eats right into your bones. But at the same time, like I've got some California or some Colorado cousins that just bought a place down here, and they're rebuilding it, getting it ready because they're going to make it their winter home. Because it don't matter how bad it gets in Texas, it's still better than them Colorado winters. You know, so at least that's the way they see it. But it gets cold enough for me, and I'm a big wimp when it comes to cold weather. I'm from South Texas, you know, and when I was a kid, I don't remember being cold, but once I became an adult, cold just tears me up. I can't stand it.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because, of course, I'm up here in Northeast Ohio, and I'm right off the Lake Erie, so we get what's called lake effect snow here.
Oh, yeah.
Winters can be brutal. I mean, besides being very cold, but we can get tons of snow. So sometimes we have an easy winter, and then other times we've got 3-4 feet of snow, and it just never seems to end. So
yeah, it occasionally snows here. The worst snow I think I've ever seen here was on Christmas Day, 2008 or 2009, and we got like 2 or 3 feet on Christmas Day. It's beautiful snow, and I don't mind snow so much, but we get snow occasionally. The main thing we get every year is ice. We'll get ice storms, and it'll just cover everything, and it's miserable.
And I heard that when something like that happens in the southern states, they might just have to shut down because they're not really equipped with the salt and the salt trucks and everything like we are up here.
Yeah, well, they've gotten better. They put something on the roads now. I don't know what it is, some kind of brine or something, I guess. I don't know. They go out with the trucks a few days before the storm hits, and you'll see these white lines on the roadway. And when the snow or when the ice hits it, it'll melt on that. Mm-hmm. So, and me, I learned how to drive on it when I was in the Army, and we used to get out and play on it all the time. So I'm a little bit ahead of most when it comes to that. I never missed work because of it. Like most people, it doesn't shut me down. I'll do what I got to do, but it doesn't mean I enjoy it. But we got to see the barn we got. I got to get it ready for winter. The barn we've got, you know, it was already here when we bought the place, but it's a hay barn. And hay barn only has a roof on it. It's open on all sides because hay, if you close up hay in an enclosed building, it can catch fire. If it's got any green in it whatsoever, then it'll spontaneously combust, and you'll end up losing everything. So they keep the sides of the barns open for hay. Well, this was a hay barn, so what I'm doing is I'm enclosing it, and turning it into an animal barn for our horses and goats and whatnot. I just picked up I just went to the auction, picked up 10 goats today. So we're getting them acclimated to the place.
Wow, very nice. Very nice indeed. All right. Hey, Amy, you get that microphone working yet?
Yes, I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Actually, you do
Okay,
sound, you're coming in
so
loud and clear. I turned the volume up on my end, so that might have been why I had my volume down. So,
well, and the reason why I am lounging is because I had surgery today
mhm.
and I feel fantastic. I have never recovered from a surgery well, and this surgery, I feel amazing. I mean, I just took an oxycodone about an hour ago, so if I just start talking crazy, just boot me out of the live stream. Just do me a favor, but I feel great.
Okay, well, you look great. You don't look like someone who's just got out of surgery. So
Call it
that's pretty good.
carnivore. I don't know. It's my first carnivore surgery, and I feel amazing.
Hmm. All right. Well, then you should also. No, we don't. I don't know what you did, and I'm not going to ask for your privacy.
I'll tell you, I had
Okay,
inguinal hernia repair.
a hernia
And
repair. Okay.
the surgeon literally told my husband that she is in the greatest shape, and it's a good thing she lost all that weight that she lost. And the surgery, instead of taking an hour and a half, took 35 minutes.
Very nice. All right. Well, I would anticipate that you will have a speedy recovery compared to had you been on some standard American diet. So
For
I
sure.
don't know. I don't know if you've had surgery before, so you have anything a reference thing to compare it
Yes.
to. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do.
I've had this is my eighth surgery.
Okay.
And I know you're wanting to schedule videos or lives or interviews, but I'm not going to talk about all 8 surgeries here, but I've had everywhere from brain surgery to hip surgery to foot surgery, you name it. You know, if you go see a surgeon, they're going to operate on you. So, but the hernia surgery, I don't think any amount of carnivoring was going to reverse that, unfortunately. So I had to have that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Yes, and that's you're accurate about. I'm going to start scheduling interviews again. That's a practice that I wanted to get into back at the beginning that I've kind of haven't really pursued just because it's a time consuming thing, but I'm going to start making time for it again. And so we'll definitely get to hear more about that in the future. So,
Sure.
all right, let's go over to Paul. How are you doing, Paul? How's your week been?
Been pretty good. I found a new grocery store with a beautiful little meat department, and they grind their ground beef fresh every morning. And it's very good, very good, and good prices. And they had eggs for $2 a dozen today. And they were egglands, so
Yeah.
stocked up
That's
a bit
good.
there. And I just in case anybody has the need, I found a company in North Carolina called um, Ames Walker. And they have all kinds of compression stockings, brand names made in the USA at half the price of anybody else.
Hmm.
Customer service is outstanding. Shipping is free. And it's beautiful. And saves a lot on the budget.
Yeah, back when I had a problem with swelling in my ankles due to my kidney disease, that would have came in handy. So, right now, speaking of weird swelling things, is I've got elbow bursitis, and if, I'm just curious if anyone listening, if you've ever had bursitis, let's talk about that in the chat, which I'll get to here in a moment. But I don't know if you can tell on camera. It's this one here. But I hurt this elbow somehow, and now feels like there's a jellyfish right on the edge of my elbow. I set tile, so I was probably leaning on my elbow to get around a corner or under. If I was doing a backsplash, maybe get under a backsplash or something like that. But all of a sudden, it swelled up, and it's been there for like 2 weeks now. and it feels like it may have gone down a little bit, but it's weird, man. It's like this little jiggly thing on the edge of my elbow, and I was told to ice it, and I guess you can get a compression sleeve that you can wear on your elbow down at the store, which I haven't done yet. I guess if it gets really big or really bad, they can drain it. But it's actually kind of fascinating how the human body works. So you injure your elbow, and you got this protection right there that forms to try and stop you from injuring it even more while it heals. So I think the human body is fascinating in that respect. So yeah, if you've ever had any bursitis, um, tell me about it, and I'm really more interested in like did it go away on its own, and how long did it take? So uh, and if nobody's had bursitis, I mean that's okay. You know, it's kind of a rare thing. Let's look at the chat. Oh, let me close out that Ames website. It's distracting me with this little banner changing. So number one, while we were waiting, 20 minutes ahead of time was Target Prime Rib, and he'll be watching from the sidelines tonight. But remember to go over there and check out his channel if you haven't already. If you have a YouTube channel and I don't mention it or plug it or something like that, I just might not be aware of it. So don't hesitate to say something, and we'll happily talk about it here, because I definitely believe that we should do what we can to recommend each other's channels, especially when we all have good results and inspiring stories to tell. Let's see here. We have Brian was number 2, and Amy is number 3 here, and Paul came in at number 4 today, but that's okay. So all this was before 8 o'clock. This is before we went live. So hi to all of you. Brisket Boomers is joining us, and we have Coach Juliet Edens as well. Let's see here. And that was even before we got started. She was aware of Amy's surgery as well. Let's see here. So Charger Mopar says, ditch the duck food. This is probably in harmony with my thumbnail. So my thumbnail obviously is a little humor based on the events of the last weekend. You know, we're protesting no carbs. That's the cause worth fighting for, or as I said, worth living for. And so yeah, ditch the duck food. Join the carnivore movement. That's what we're here to tell you about, because you will benefit immensely. And we have Booby Goats. Good to see you this evening. And Rick is he's putting away. He's right on schedule. Just finishing work, heading to the bath, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll see him pop on at about 9 o'clock. That's usually when we see him. And let's see here. A lot of hellos going on. People greeting each other. I'm going to bring up a few names that I don't recognize. Marla Kelly is a name that I don't recognize. So it's good to have you here. It's a pleasure to meet you. Glad you could join us this evening. And Angela Mullins. Glad you could join us as well. And we have Sharon Esterson. Very nice. And Frank Calabrese. I think I recognize that name here. So, and the Feral Grandma. It's good to see you this evening. You've joined us on screen before. Feel free to do that again if you like. Let's see here. Lots of hellos. I'm looking for any questions. Or experiences. Let's see here. We have George Goodenough from over in the UK. Glad you could join us. So, here's a good suggestion from Tom. Amy, just a thought, you should have a live with all of your Avengers together. How many Avengers do you have? And counting.
You know, I'm not sure, but there's probably at least 10. I don't know. So there may be too many for me to host on a live, because I use Talk Studio and I may only be able to bring 6 in at a time. So I may have to do 2 separate live streams.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to put a plug in for Rick, because I finally got his permission to do his Avenger, and it is hilarious. You can either see it on my channel, but I actually suggest you go to Rick's and watch it from his. It's a short. It's hilarious. I even created a little song for him. So funny. Anyway, not a plug for my work, just a shout out for Rick.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I haven't been keeping up with all of them. I saw. Oh. I can't think of who they are in real life because I'm picturing the Avenger. I know I'll think of it in a minute. I think I saw it. I think I saw someone posted over, and we have a private WhatsApp chat for one of our particular groups.
Yeah,
and I think that's where I saw it at. But yeah, those are very creative, and obviously you're probably using AI to generate those, right? Yeah.
And I'm trying different programs, and I think I finally, because I was paying per video and it was very expensive, and I finally found a subscription based. It's expensive as well, but at least it's once a month, and I'm not paying per video. So, yeah. So it's a lot of fun though. I gotta admit, it's kind of a hobby, as well as work.
Yeah. All right. So Tom says, speaking of, hey, anyone who hasn't done so, hit the like button, and thanks to everyone who makes those kind of comments, because I always forget to ask. So yes, definitely, if you could hit that like button, that's great. That helps serve this video up to new, fresh eyes. And last week we had actually a good handful of new eyes in here in the chat that were very interested and very appreciative of it as well. So yeah, hit that like button, and that actually helps more than you would think it does. That tells YouTube that this is something worth pushing in front of others. So that would be much appreciated. Let's see here. And Lewis is in the house. Good to see you here. He's going to go for a quick walk. All right. And I would love to have you on my channel, Bob, but we have to wait until February after I take a break from my channel. Are you going to take a break? Okay. Yeah, February's fine. I know we keep talking about it, and then I keep forgetting to email you. And so yeah, we definitely need to, pick a week in February. I'd say, you know what, let's just do that. Pick a week in February. I'll write it down, and we will make it happen. George says, I have an inguinal hernia and I'm waiting for surgery. Carnivore can't heal it. Even Dr. Kiltz has had 3 surgeries for inguinal hernias, 1 failed surgery. Yeah. All right. That's
what mine was today.
What does inguinal mean? I mean, when I just think of a hernia, I just think of a tear in the stomach wall.
It is the inguinal type is in your groin area.
Okay.
So other ones are in your belly button or up in your chest area, up towards your diaphragm, and mine was in the groin area. So they're not real common in women. So I don't know how the heck that happened to me, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen to somebody. It's gonna happen to me.
Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, all right. Just glad you got that taken care of. Let's see here. Amy, do you not keep enough Godzilla and King Kong movies for medical dental days? I haven't seen
punishment. I'm addicted to YouTube, I guess.
YouTube's probably what I watch the most out of anything. So I turn on the TV, I'll go straight to the YouTube app. So I have some vloggers that I watch for entertainment purposes, and then everything else is usually carnivore or health or kidney related, since that's obviously a topic that is of particular interest to me. Lambs, we've seen you a couple times. Glad you're back. Glad you're here. Good to see you. And what am I at? 8? I'm almost caught up. All right. Let's see here. Carnivore Junkie. There's a new name. So glad to have you here, Carnivore Junkie. If feel free to tell us about yourself. You're also welcome to click the link and join us on screen. Anybody who's watching that wants to share an experience, ask a question and is not afraid of being broadcast and saved in a file and always accessible to YouTube forever and ever and ever, you're more than welcome to join us on screen and talk face to face. Here we go. Andre Poulet asks, has anyone fixed AFib on Carnivore? I'm trying to convince my mom who has AFib that it will fix it. So I haven't had AFib, but I know someone who has. Would you like to comment on that, Jeff?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of my specialty. That's my claim to fame, in all my interviews. But yeah, now there's different kinds of AFib to start with, and the type I had was paroxysmal AFib. That is when you're not in constant AFib. So I would have attacks, and they would hit me. I'd have little ones here and there, but I would usually have one big one a year that would put me in the ICU for a couple of days. And they would get pretty bad. So I have talked to other people around the world who have AFib where they're in constant AFib. And they don't seem to do as well on Carnivore as those of us with paroxysmal AFib. Now, I reversed mine. I'm off of all my medication. I won't say it's cured, but I will say it's reversed. I went from having 10 to 15 palpitations a day. Sometimes I'd go into what I call the silent AFib. I wouldn't even know I'd be in AFib. I wouldn't feel anything, but I would be having a what felt like an anxiety attack. And it turns out, I found out I don't have anxiety attacks. I don't do that. I'm not that emotional a person, but it turns out that was an AFib attack, and I didn't know it. My cardiologist had to tell me that. So I reversed mine by eating strict carnivore, meat, salt, water. That's it. And I can't say that it works for everybody because it doesn't work for everybody. It worked for me. That's all I can say about it, really. But that was my type of AFib. I know others that have improved their AFib, but like I said, I went from 10 to 15 heart palpitations a day, even when I wasn't in AFib. And some of them would be so bad that if I was driving my pickup, I'd have to pull over the side of the road because I'm like, I got to stop before, just in case this is one where I fall out. I don't want to have a wreck. But as I progressed in carnivore, my doctor had to take me off of one of my medications, which was metropolol. And after about 6 months after that, he cut my flecainide in half. 6 months after that, he took me off the flecainide completely. And so I'm on no medication anymore. If my last checkup, I go in once a year now just for a checkup. And I want to say my last one, which was about 2 weeks ago, I had to tell him if I'm having one heart flutter a month, I barely even notice it. So I can say I'm reversed. I don't think I'm cured, but I'm reversed. But so, yes, is it possible? In my case, it was. I can't speak for your mother. I don't know what kind of AFib she has. I don't know what medication she's on. But I will say, if you get yourself metabolically healthy, cut out the sugars, cut out the all sugars. That includes fruit, all carbs. Get rid of the seeds, the seed oils. Go pure carnivore, meat, salt, and water. It will heal your metabolism. And even if it doesn't cure your AFib or reverse your AFib, it will still make you healthier. And I think it will help your AFib. So that's about all I got on that.
All right. So is it worth the effort? Is it worth trying?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's no harm can come. Only positive benefits will come,
Right.
So
now,
go ahead.
And I'll say this. So over on Kiltz's Tribe, there's a gentleman over there that he tried He's got AFib. He tried carnivore, and the way he's talking, his symptoms got worse. Now, I don't know why. He hasn't told me, he hasn't said what he's been eating or how he's been eating, but he said his symptoms got worse and he had to get off of carnivore and go back to eating normal again. So everybody's different. All you can do is try it.
Right. The feral grandma said, Carrie Mann and others have fixed different heart issues. I'm hoping my murmur will go away. And we hope so too. And, you know,
Yeah.
it may or it may not. We don't know. And yeah, that's interesting, Jeff. I don't know who specifically you're referring to, but I can't think of any nutritional, dietary, or scientific reason why an AFib might get worse with a carnivore diet.
No, I can't either.
I can't think of anything. So there could be maybe something else at play there. I know some people, and I'm not saying this applies to this individual, some people will experience, they'll be able to hear their pulse and hear their heartbeat better. You know, they're on the diet for a while, they lose some weight, they go to sleep at night, their head's on their pillow, and they can kind of hear or feel their heart beating. And they haven't felt that before, so they kind of get weirded out. But it's been proven that like the heart beats better and stronger when it runs on ketones. And so you're actually, noticing, you're taking note of that improvement, but you might feel that and freak out. Now that's not an AFib by any means, but just for those that, who are on this diet and you're like, oh, whoa, something going on with my heart. Yeah, it's probably performing better. That's really probably what it comes down to. That's in most situations there. Let's see here. Frank asks, has anyone had a CAC done and are concerned? So I have not. That's something I want to do out of curiosity. I don't think the results are going to really change my mind on what I do. But let's see here. Can you mute the TV, Paul? Or I'm sorry, Peter?
Oh, yeah. Hold on a sec.
Okay. And so I haven't, but I want to get one done around here because up in my area, they're actually free. But even in your area, they're usually cheap. They're usually between 90 and $150, So I haven't had a CAC score. And if anyone in the chat has had a CAC score and would like to share, please bring that up. Or you can tell us on screen. You can join us like Papa Carnivore has. And where'd you go? And for the first time, we have Aaron, also known as Booby Goats. How you doing, Aaron?
Cool. On the CAC score, my doctor, which I'm going to change doctors, he wants me to get one because I refuse the statins. And the way I look at it, it doesn't matter. I mean, if I get it, it'd be like you, Bob. It'd be out of curiosity. But for us, it costs us $300 down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not
I'd rather
take
$300
out of
I'd rather take that and buy meat.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to waste $300 on something that ain't going to change anything on how I live. Because even if I had plaque buildup, which I don't, and I know I don't, because when I had my first AFib attack, they did a complete scan of my heart. They said everything was nice and clean. So I'm not worried about a CAC score, but it didn't matter. If I have CAC, if it showed anything, I wouldn't change anything. So it'd be a waste of my money. I'm going to continue eating this way.
Well, and just remember, when you see a number on that CAC score, Cindy DeManch, do you guys know Cindy?
Yes.
Her number's like 3,000. Okay. And she's not dead. She's feeling good, right? I don't know how old she is, but she's probably maybe late 60s, something like that, mid-late 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she I mean, the fact that you may have some calcium plaque, hardened, that's not the stuff that's bad. That's really going to do you in. You know what's going to do you in? If you have soft plaque and blockages. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So
Well,
3,000 sounds scary, but that's calcified plaque, so it should not give you any problems. So
have you
Right.
seen the latest report from Nick Nortz and his buddy there? It's actually not Nick, but it's his buddy on the recent studies where they're showing where people are reversing this plaque on
Yeah.
carnivore. Lean mass hyper responders with high cholesterol, they're actually they've got, you know, X-ray or whatever scan they use. They've got that they can actually show you the pictures where people are reducing their plaque, their plaque buildup.
yeah,
Yeah,
plaque
it was
reduction.
about 20%.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, plaque reduction is possible, and what they usually say is that once it's calcified, it's not possible. But I've even heard reports of CAC scores going down, even though it's rare. It is possible. So
Yeah, I've heard stories of CAC scores going down.
yeah,
Yeah, semi-retired Bob's, his went down this year.
all right, very good, good for him.
Okay, Bob, you
I
was
was-
wondering. I finally found it. You was asking about the guy that was leaving carnivore after 4 weeks because his atrial fibrillation gradually became he became unable to stay in sinus rhythm. It was his handle is New Diet.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to. That doesn't ring a bell for me, but I've been working a lot lately and haven't been on posting on Kilsis Forum as much as I want to. So, all right. So now let's take a moment. I wanted to welcome Aaron to the chat. How are you, Aaron? How's your week been? Why don't you tell us a little about yourself since you're new to the screen here at Carnivore Talk?
Well, hello everybody. My name's Erin. I'm a mom of 10. I have 5 boys and 5 girls. I found carnivore back in March 3rd of 2023. And well, actually I found it in February, learned about it through February, and then just decided to go cold turkey and go into carnivore. And I've lost 80 pounds. And I'm just, my brain woke up. It's so weird. Like, it's so, I'm so there and in the moment now. It's so crazy, but absolutely love it. And I don't think I'm gonna quit ever. So I just wanted to stop by and say hi. I always want to come on here, but like I always fall asleep around this time.
Mhm.
Today I'm doing a 48-hour fast, so this is my first day of it. And I'm just awake and kind of wired. So I was like, I better come on anyway and say hi.
Glad
All
you
right.
did.
Yeah, well, very good. Welcome aboard. So yeah, 80
I want
pounds.
to
That's
know why.
awesome.
I want to know why the name Booby Goats.
Okay, so back in 2018, we moved from Ohio to Tennessee, and we decided, well, we kind of have illegal chickens. So my husband had a family farm down here, and we decided to get goats. So I'm taking care of the goats, and I have like the 2 little ones at home. My 3-year-old was like outside. She loves singing at the time, and she was singing booby goats to the baby. And I was like, I need a YouTube handle. I'm going to use that. And that's what I ended up using it. But when I was on Mitch Old Guy Carnivore stream one time, he was like, what do you think she was actually saying? Because you know kids and their speech. And I was like, she's probably saying baby goat. She was singing baby goat. So I was like, whatever, I'm going to keep it. I'll keep the handle. And I'm so jelly that you just picked up a bunch of goats because I would love that, but I have to redo my fences. I'm having trouble keeping the geese in.
They are Houdinis. They will get out if you give them an opportunity, no doubt.
Yep. Do that.
All right, very good. So outside of the outstanding weight loss, did you have any like conditions or issues that you got to reverse to as a bonus?
Bonus, I had the pre-diabetes, and with all my pregnancies, I had gestational diabetes. And so with them, I learned that the paperwork that the nurse gave me to follow the dietitian, it didn't work. I ate what they told me to, and my sugars were really high. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at this like a game. And I took out all the carbs and I just had meat and some vegetables. And that's how I got, well, I had that the thing in the morning where your sugar was still up a little bit, and I was able to control it. And I couldn't control the morning one, so they put me at first glyburide, and it was like a 0.5 of it. So I had to actually cut the pill in half. They told me to do that because I had gotten it so low, but I wasn't able to do that dawn effect thing. I couldn't control that while pregnant. But I did have that, but I don't anymore. And I was depressed, but I didn't go to a doctor about it. I knew I was depressed, but I always decided to be like happy and whatever around my kids, just keep my cool. And then at night though, I would drink. I would have some beers. I was a beer drinker. I loved IPAs and stuff like that. But I didn't, not during pregnancy or nursing. So I had rare windows where I could drink, and I realized that was kind of a problem. So I didn't want to do that anymore. And when I started learning about carnivore, I was like, okay, the baby's about 4 months old. I'm not drinking yet, so this probably helped me too. And so I was too full that even usually around my family, they like to drink and they'll have beer and stuff, but I couldn't do it. I didn't want it because I was full, from eating meat. So I didn't want to drink. And I did. I got my parents' 40th anniversary. I decided to try something called a dirty margarita, and right away, headache hit me. It was bad. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I haven't touched the stuff in over a year and a half, almost 2 years actually. So it's pretty cool that I don't even want it, need it. It's nice that, hey, I cured alcoholism. So I have a YouTube channel, and I actually made a YouTube video about how I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, have you heard the news type deal? Because I was super excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have these problems, and a lot of the depression, the anxiety, all went away on carnivore. It took me about 6 months with it to really focused on it, not wanting to have anything. And it was really interesting because I would watch YouTube, and there'd be these ladies that are like, once you do the elimination diet for a little bit, try to add something back. So I was like, okay. And I made spaghetti for the kids one night, and I was like, I'll just try some spaghetti. Oh my gosh, that made me comatose. I was like, is this how everybody feels normally? I could not. I was like, I cannot. And that was kind of like one of those moments where my little call to action was, we got to change what the kids are eating now, But it's a slow go because my oldest is 19, my youngest just turned 3. So the younger ones that are always with me eat meat all the time with me. But, when they're with the older kids and everybody's like, I even tried to do carnivore for a month, and one of my daughters left the house to live at her friend's house because there's nothing to eat in the house. I'm like, what are you talking about? Good. I tried.
Yeah. I wish, raising my kids, I was always trying to get them to eat their vegetables because that's what I thought I had to do. And in hindsight now, I wish I wasn't even bothering with that. And I was trying to get them to eat their meat and eggs instead. So I get it. It's interesting you mentioned the alcohol thing. So I was not like an alcoholic, but I drank regularly.
Yeah.
And that might be one of the many contributing factors to my current kidney condition. But because of my kidney condition, I just can't do it anymore. Even being carnivore, I would still go out maybe once a month or once every quarter, every 3 months, and I might have a drink. And yeah, I might get the headache. But what the thing that I've been having now is I don't take electrolytes, but whenever I drink, especially if I drink in the evening, I'll have to jump up out of my chair. I'll start getting cramps, and then I'm afraid to sleep. And because all throughout the night, I'm in this half sleep thing because I'm afraid of cramps. And then I think I mentally give myself cramps then, and it's just dehydrates me. So it could be the slightest little drink. it's just not worth it anymore. So the last time I tried it was like last week. I had a margarita, first margarita I've had in like 2.5 years. And I thought it was early enough. It was like we had like 5:30. I don't go to bed till like midnight. We come back and we're watching TV, and it's like 10 o'clock. I had to jump out of my recliner because my legs are starting to cramp up. And so I took like a LMNT. It's a different brand though. And started drinking water the rest of the night to rehydrate myself. Cause I was like, definitely there's nothing I hate more in life than cramps. So,
you know what I tried the other night? I'd seen this talked about and I never tried it. It popped into my head. I'll cramp up if I don't get enough electrolytes throughout the day when I'm working hard. And I always heard a tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon of mustard, just plain old yellow mustard, nice clean mustard. And I thought I had a cramp that just was not giving up in my foot. And so I took a big old heaping tablespoon of that mustard, swallowed it down. And within a couple of minutes, that cramp was gone. It was just the wildest thing. I will be doing that again.
I'll have to try
just to see if it worked. If that was just a coincidence or if it really works, give that a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, it's repeatable. You repeated somebody else's experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've heard the same thing about like pickle juice. If you're having an issue with cramps, go drink some pickle juice.
My horse sure carries a jar of pickle juice around with him. He sweats extremely bad, and he's always guzzling pickle juice.
And so one of the things that the pickle juice and the mustard have in common would be the vinegar content.
Right.
So maybe that could be what's going on there.
And the salt. And the pickles have got a lot of salt.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I see we have our favorite troll from last week's back.
Wait, is it the vegetarian guy? I can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually was okay with that guy. I was going back and forth with him, and I was talking with him, and he was telling me stuff.
Okay, well that's fine. He can stay as long as he doesn't just copy and paste the same thing over and over and over again. So
right.
And last time when I got around to addressing it, because I muted him, he may have been gone. So we won't mute him just yet, so we can talk to him. But first, we have Target Prime Rib says, I'm hoping to have Rick on my first time back on February 7th after his break, but I have the 14th, the 21st, and 28th free, probably at 4 p.m. I looked those up. Those are Saturdays. I'll tell you what. Pick one. We'll put it in the calendar right now. So if you're still watching, let me know. If not, again, we'll email each other. Bob@carnivoretalk.com. It's that simple. Or you go into the show notes. There's a link to a contact form. You can fill out the form and send me a message that way. All right. Jonathan is in the house. He's his username over on carnivoretalk.com is Salad Suck. And yes, that's another thing that I'm going to give up completely is every time I'm like, well, you know what? Sure, I'll take the salad. Devastated.
Man, I hate salad.
Bathroom,
I hate salad. I hate salad so much.
I don't hate it. That's the thing is like, I actually enjoy it, but I don't enjoy the after effects.
Wait a minute. Do you enjoy the salad or do you enjoy the salad dressing and all the other crap? Yep. Because if you're telling me you like lettuce,
that's not what I said. I said I like salad. Salad is the combination of all the above. I don't like lettuce, but I like salad.
So that was how my son talked to me when he first introduced me to carnivore. Yeah, I had a nice garden and everything, and I grew my own lettuce, nice romaine lettuce and everything. Yeah, and I told him, I said, I'll give this a try. I'm interested. I want to look into it, but I says, to be honest, I like a good salad once in a while. And he said, do you really, Dad? He says, go out to the garden, pluck a head of that lettuce, and just eat it. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do that. And he says, why? You like salad, right? I said, yeah. I says, he says, you don't like salad. Or he said, you don't like lettuce, you like salad. You like the mouthfeel of the crunch. You like the salad dressing. You like the croutons. You like the meat you put on it. You like the cheese. You like everything you put on it. And when he talked to me about it like that, I thought, well, I had to look at all the other vegetables that I was eating. You know, my zucchini and my squash and everything. I love those things. Well, did I really? No, I loved what I put on them when I
Right.
cooked them. You
What,
know, I don't
Butter.
like broccoli, but I like a lot of cheese sauce on the broccoli. You know, so it wasn't the vegetable; it was everything, all the junk I was putting on it. You know, so that convinced me right there. Yeah, I really don't like vegetables.
what if you're like me though, and you're making a salad and you take a leaf of lettuce because you like the lettuce so much and you just eat the lettuce raw?
Well, then you actually like lettuce. I don't.
Oh
Okay.
God, man, lettuce is just if you just eat
It's
plain lettuce, it's gross.
Yeah.
I love plain vegetables. I'll do the same with the tomato, with the cucumber, with
And you know,
green
and
Really?
some
pepper.
people are like
Oh,
that. And you
yeah.
know, for
Yeah.
people that really like vegetables, I'm sure carnivore is difficult for them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Amy, if you love just the taste of vegetables, you know, I mean, that's great because I can't. I hate them. I mean, now I that being said, like I don't mind like some roasted like Brussels sprouts, you know, if they're all dressed up and stuff, or like some asparagus, you know, with some butter on there. But just giving me like cutting up some broccoli, like raw broccoli or cauliflower, like chopped up, man, just like plain. Ugh.
Yep, just plain, out of the garden, wash
Yeah.
it off in the mouth with maybe a little salt on it or something, but
Wow.
I eat lettuce without anything on it. Now, I
Mm.
don't miss the vegetables because I'm so satiated on carnivore foods.
Yeah.
I don't like them, but I did like them when I ate them. Yes.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you
Hey,
doing?
Lewis.
I'm doing good. Doing
All
okay.
right. Glad you could join us. How's your week been?
So far so good. Today was Diwali, which is a Indian holiday. So schools were closed. Oh, hello, kitty. Amy, does your kitty know that you're recovering and is like healing you with the purring?
Yes. And
Yeah,
he's also kicked out of where the other kitties are because he's a bully kitty, so he's eating up the attention right now.
very nice. Yeah, so it was a good day today. I didn't go to work, so it was nice.
So, Amy, how did the surgery go? Okay.
Well, it was fantastic. So I normally don't do well with surgeries. I explained earlier this is my 8th surgery in my life, and I normally am so sick for at least a day on anesthesia. The surgery was supposed to take an hour and a half. It only took 35 minutes. The surgeon said, your wife, to my husband, your wife is amazing. She is in great shape. Had she not lost all this weight, it would have been a much more difficult surgery, probably because there would have been a ton of fat to cut through. And I'm much leaner now. And he's like, she's doing fantastic. So, I mean, other
Great.
than the CO2 gas they pump in you, and you feel that kind of like, um, and I have a little bit of pain, so I am taking the pain medicine right now, maybe for 24 hours. But and I'm, lounging in a recliner right now with a cat. But other than that, I feel great. It's amazing.
That's good.
Did they tell you when you can go, back to work? Or are you gonna,
I
I know you
told
work from
them,
home.
I told them because I have to actually go into the office next week. It's mandatory. They don't care if you're dying. We have boot camp where customers pay thousands of dollars to come in to be trained on our software, and it's mandatory for all technical trainers to be in the office. But I asked him about it, and he said you should be fine because I have a desk job. So,
That's on Monday.
yep. I'm working from home Monday. I have to go on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday,
Okay.
and then I work from home Friday. So easy peasy.
So
I
you're
mean,
yeah.
Good.
By Tuesday you should be much better. I'm sure.
I've been walking around today, like
Really?
trying to just walk
Amazing.
around. And they
Yeah.
said if you walk around, that will help with the CO2 gas. So I've been going. We have a lot of steps in our house.
Right.
We live in a sky level, not like so 6 steps up, 6 steps down. And I'm on the main floor right now. We do not have a bathroom on the main level, which has been an irritation point for most of my surgeries because I've been on crutches for a lot of my surgeries.
Mm,
But my mom, who's elderly and has knee and hip problems, she says, Amy, she's like, don't sell your house. She's like, that's what's going to keep you young, is making yourself be able to go up and down those stairs all the time. So I've been going up and down the stairs to go to the bathroom. I've stayed on the main floor. I've walked around. I got my own drinks. My husband helped me with my food because the bowl in the fridge is a little heavy. I made this chicken soup, and I made a ton of it, and it's probably like over my weight limit. So he's helped me get the food out of the fridge. And then I've been carrying small things. I'm not picking up this cat though, because he's probably over my weight limit too. He helps himself to my lap. But yeah, I'm on narcotics right now, but I don't feel like I'm overly outrageously like doped up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you've got your wits about you. You sound fine. It's just, if anything, it's just to relieve some pain, you know?
Yep, exactly. Just to stay ahead of it in case there is pain.
Yeah. When I had my ankle surgery, I broke my ankle and I had to have a metal plate and 6 screws put in it. They sent me home with, something powerful like that, but it didn't knock me out or mess with my head or anything, and I tried not to take it, but then it get to the point where I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I'm taking that.
Wow.
So I never finished the whole thing. I ended up throwing the rest of it away, but I took it as needed when it was needed. So
As needed. I love that.
yeah, as needed. I tried not to need it for the most part. So Jonathan, thank you very much for the generous super chat. Really appreciate that. Levi says cardiovascular disease kills 33% of humans. However, only a whole food plant-based diet has been proven to reverse this with 99.4 success, according to this source that you're citing. Okay, so this is
what I
friend
hold
from
on.
last week.
This is what I love about Levi. Okay,
99.4%.
he's not just like your garden variety troll. This guy has research. Okay, whether it's right or wrong, I mean, you got to give the guy props for defending his position and trying to back it up. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm just saying, as much as we are into what we're into, Levi's really into what he's into. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was talking to him and he said he's been doing this, I want to say, for 10 or 15 years at least. Now, I think he's a young guy. So, he can and I asked him if he does supplements or whatever. I forget what he said. I think he said he did some B12 or something, because I said, what about B12? But there's a lot we can learn from these people. That's why I don't want to like cut those people off. I want to learn. I want to know more. Like Amy did a lot of keto, and I only did keto very, very briefly. So, and like I want to know more about all these other things. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
That's fine. Just last, like I said, last week it was just the repetitious copy and pasting the same thing over and over again. But I do have to comment on this. Okay, so
yeah.
Can a whole food plant-based diet benefit you if you have cardiovascular disease? The answer to that is yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like compared to what? And how Dr. Bart K always says, compared to what, and on the basis of whom or whatever, according to whom or whatever. He always says that. So yeah, if you're eating jelly donuts and the crap diet, sure. If I go from that to a whole foods, plant-based, keto or vegetarian or whatever, yeah, you're probably going to do better. The question is that sustainable long-term? That's the thing. I don't know.
Right. And so my point is so everything that Papa Carnivore just said is correct. If you're eating this standard American junk diet,
right,
got you in that position to begin with.
Yeah.
And now you change your mind, you make your mind over, and now you're going to only eat what the earth provides.
Right.
Yes, you're going to benefit. So I am not anti-plant on this channel. Okay. And so if you want to eat plants, that's fine. I support keto. I support animal-based. I support carnivore, anything that's what I consider carnivore-centric. So I do believe that meat should consist of the better portion of your diet, and all these other things can be added to it. Personally, I would stay away from grains and refined sugar, which is also a grain. Those are all grasses, and we're not cows. We're not plant eaters in that respect. Okay. So is a vegan or vegetarian diet sustainable?
Right.
Today it is, because there are supplements you can take. 1,000 years ago it wasn't.
Right.
But today, if you want to be vegan for whatever reason you can, and start in your teens and live until your 90s, that's very doable thanks to modern technology and the supplements you're going to have to take. And the fact that you can get a wide variety of foods now, which you couldn't then. So, but you can't rule out that many people have reversed their cardiovascular disease with a carnivore diet devoid of plants too. So when you say that only a whole food plant-based diet has been proven to reverse this, that is incorrect. It can reverse it, but that's not the only way to reverse it. If you want to go the plant-based route, by all means, Levi, that is completely cool. We're okay with that. Your next quote says, risk of death from cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, infections, kidney disease, liver disease, and lung disease all increase the amount of meat consumed, according to the National Cancer Institute. This, I believe, is blatantly incorrect. So,
Well,
Yes.
if that was the case, Rick would be dead.
right. Yeah,
It's poor studies.
yeah.
It's
we have-
poor studies. Because a slice of pizza has got pepperoni on it, so you just ate meat. A hamburger's got roll on it and whatever else, ketchup. You just ate sugar,
oils.
okay?
Sugar. Yep.
Yeah, then the whole seed oil thing. You know, the original seed oil was Crisco. And you know who made it first, who really put it into production, was the Germans in World War II. They had no oil, so they had to make their own.
World War
And,
One.
you know, seed oils have been around on a production basis since about 1900. Randolph Diesel, the founder of the diesel engine, he designed the diesel engine to run on a seed oil. I think it
Peanut
was.
oil.
Yeah, it was a seed oil. I can't remember which one it was.
It was peanut oil.
Yeah, I
He
think it
just
was
couldn't
peanut
make
oil.
he couldn't make the engine run because he didn't have a pump. He couldn't get the oil. He couldn't get the fuel into the piston, and that's why he sold it to Anheuser-Busch, the beer people, at a pub in the early 1900s. And they went over to Germany and hired Bosch, and Bosch built the pump. And then the diesel engine took off. But it was seed oil.
All right. I was catching.
Well, the thing is, with any and all of this, is there are no, never have been, and never will be any studies that prove his point. But what we have is our individual, yes, they're, what do you call it?
Anecdotes.
Anecdotal evidence. But when you combine the thousands and thousands and thousands of us who have reversed or cured all the diseases, all the problems that we have, that's proof. That's our evidence. But I want to see the evidence of the people who are saying that the meat is causing this when we're actually fixing it with the meat. We are the proof of that. This is why I won't lie to my doctor. This is why I'm not ashamed to tell my doctor this is what I do.
Yes.
Because I want him to document this. I want him to argue with me. I want him to pick my brain and I'll pick his brain, because I want the confrontation. Because if we don't let the medical community know what it is we're doing, then we can't prove to them. You know, we are the study. So be the study. Get out there and tell your doctor. Now, me, speaking of doctors, I'm looking for a new doctor because I'm in a new area. I don't want to drive an hour and a half to my old doctor like I have to do now. So I'm going to find a new PCP. And right now, I'm looking at DOs rather than MDs.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I think
Yes.
for our lifestyle, that's what's going to suit us best is a DO.
Yep.
Because they want to fix what the problem is, not just treat the problem. And so that's
what I
route I'm
did.
going right
Yep.
now.
Yep. Particularly if you have some kind of a problem you're seeing a doctor about, like for me, diabetes, they got to know what I'm eating. Okay.
Yeah. You got to be honest.
Otherwise, how they could, they're going to treat me for something and say, well, they prescribe the carbohydrate, and they diet prescribes carbohydrates. And then you take insulin to bring that blood sugar down. If you go too low, you take carbs to bring it back up. Well, our approach is just the opposite. Don't take the carbs. You don't need as much insulin. And I think my body's acting weird right now because I'll have times when I haven't done anything. I haven't taken any insulin. I haven't exercised in a certain way. And all of a sudden, my blood sugar plummets. And I immediately do a finger stick to see how it compares to my CGM. And if it's not the first couple of days of the sensor, it's usually pretty close on. It's within that 12%. Yeah, my blood sugar did just crash. I don't know why. Maybe my pancreas decided to let some insulin go. I don't know what happened. That's why what we really need in this world is a insulin meter, a continuous insulin meter. Nothing will prevent disease like an insulin meter. We don't have one, but boy, if we ever get that, who's the guy from Utah there? Ben, whatever.
Bickman?
The insulin god.
Bickman?
Bickman, yeah, Bickman, yeah. You can, if you understand insulin, like fasting insulin numbers, you can detect your diabetes, your path to diabetes 10, 15 years ahead of time. Save your body a whole lot of damage.
So it's 9:00. So we're 1 hour in. And so I just wanted to take a moment to say that, to remind everybody that this is an open forum, a roundtable discussion with room for 10. So we got room for 3 more. I just posted the link in the chat, and it's also pinned at the top if you're over on YouTube. If you'd like to join us on screen, share your experience, or ask a question face to face. You might have asked a question in the chat, and you notice we're always lagging behind, and you need an answer now because you got to go, and you can jump on the screen and ask your question kind of ahead of the line. So feel free to do that all you want. We're going to go back to the chat real quick, catch up on a few here. Yes, Paul?
Can I put in one quick plug for a wonderful Grandma Crochet Carnivore?
Yes, Barbara.
Yeah, she's trying to get to 2,000 on her sub count. And she's, soft-spoken, a lot about motivation, a lot of determination. It's like I think this is like her second round on Keto or Carnivore. And if y'all could swing by, and I just got a pop-up notice that she's going live right now at the moment, and she usually stays up. Sometimes she's up till midnight.
What's her name?
And
what's her YouTube channel name?
Grandma's
it's like
Crochet
Grandma
Corner with a K.
Yeah, corner. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
First name's
Grandma.
Grandma. GRAMMAS. The word crochet and the word corner with a K. And her story is she couldn't walk like a few steps, even to go to the bathroom a few months ago. And she walked to the grocery store the other day. Sorry to cut you off, Paul, but I just got to shout her out.
She's got a great. She couldn't walk to her mailbox 50 feet. Just 45 days ago, she couldn't walk 50 feet.
Okay, I just posted the link.
Yeah, she just came down below. She just broke the 300-pound barrier. She lost like 30 some pounds in just the last 30, 40 days.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first
Shoot.
that first month is when you get rapid results that first month. So yeah, good, good. All right, I
And you,
posted the link. We can go check out her channel.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead and click that link before it disappears up in the ether there, and open it in another tab so you can check it out when we're done here. The Feral Grandma says, I had a CAC after my stroke, scored 178. And Coach Angela Mullen says her CAC score was 0. Frank said had a score of 372 in one of the 3 arteries that feeds 50% of the heart. So I don't know what the scale is. I know that obviously 0 is best, and but was it Jeff? You said you knew someone that had one that was 3,000. Someone
No,
said
that wasn't me.
that wasn't you. Someone
Cindy,
knew someone that
yeah.
had a CAC score of 3,000. So that would be high
Peter
burden
did.
plaque, but they're not. They're still ticking.
Peter did, but he's sleeping. But
Yeah.
Cindy,
I,
the Manchester CAC score, I think, is up over 6,000 now. It's gradually increased by 20% over the last few years. And she is so distraught over it that
Yeah.
she has decided, she's a personal friend of mine. I met her in person. She is so distraught over it. She says she's never having it tested again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had 2 CAC scores done. My first one when I was 39 years old, and the score was 131, which I was like, all right, whatever, I had diabetes for 10 years, and and then I had it done again 13 months later, and in a year it increased 70% to 366. So you had started that conversation about the question in the chat was, did anyone get it, and are they worried? Yeah, I'm worried. So
Yeah, I would. I can see where seeing a number that you don't want to see could cause some anxiety.
and my age.
Mm-hmm.
If I was 85 years old and had a 366, they would be like, wow, that's a great score. You're 85 years old. You only have a 366. But I'm 42. So, not to be a downer.
No, that's okay. So yeah. So it is what it is. So all you can do is do what you know is
Correct.
best for your body right
And
now.
I was on statins for years, and I had cholesterol that was so low. I had LDL in the 30s and total cholesterol below 100. And I asked my doctor, I say to my doctor, I'm like, after I got my positive score, I'm like, how do I have a positive score? I have lab results from when my cholesterol was so low, and he can't answer.
So I've heard that statins actually cause the soft plaque to calcify.
Right.
I've heard that a lot too. So
yeah,
because their thinking is that that's good, because the soft plaque is what might dislodge and cause a stroke or heart attack, whereas the calcified plaque isn't going to hurt you.
my my 70% increase, I was not taking a statin.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just
okay.
doing carnivore. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see. To be continued. I'll get another one in June.
Cranky Carnivore Cutler says, when I got caught telling a fib, when I got caught telling a fib, there was no fixing it. That's a little humor there. Couldn't resist. But seriously, in the carnivore community I'm a member of, I've heard 3 people say that their AFib reversed and 2 others improving. So yeah, there we go. So that was back when someone asked the question about, has anybody seen AFib improve? There's a lot of positive experiences of AFib improving. Levi, with this is the one he kept copying and pasting last week. He says that he quotes, the digestive system of all hominid and primate species, including Homo sapiens, are frugivorous, according to Dr. Alan Walker, Johns Hopkins University. Now, this also, Levi, if you're still here, and I don't think you are because you haven't commented in a while, this is false. Patently false. Okay. There are carnivorous primates. They exist. Okay. And even the chimpanzee, which is quote unquote the human's closest relative, is a voracious eater of meat when the opportunity makes itself known. So, you know, frugivorous, meaning fruit-based diet. Okay, you certainly are capable of eating fruit. Your mouth produces amylase to break down carbohydrates as soon as it hits your tongue. You do have a cecum, although a bit of a small one. So there's no questioning that the human body is adapted to eat some plant matter. Okay, but how many frugivores do you see on news, Google News or Microsoft News, who have died because they were trying to live on a raw fruit only diet?
Yep.
They
Seen
get
2 in the
super
last
skinny.
year.
Yeah, they get super skinny. They wither away and they die and they're unhealthy and they look like skeletons when they're alive. And the part that this ignores is are large parts of the human digestive system that by design are meant for protein and fat consumption.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you can compare the digestive system of a human to carnivores and to omnivores and to herbivores. They're nothing like herbivores, for one. They do resemble omnivores, but they also have more features that favor carnivores. And that would make sense. That's exactly what we would expect to see. Yep. So this is another comment that I see you're quoting, a doctor and everything, but the statement's just simply incorrect. I don't care that this guy's got the word doctor in front of him and the guy's got Johns Hopkins University after him. It means nothing to me when I know it's patently false. So I was at the fact that you do research is fantastic.
Yep.
That's excellent. And the fact that you're mindful of what you're eating, that's also fantastic. But just be aware that, some of the information you're presenting as a defense of 100% veganism is biased. Okay. And that's what we want to show. And I'm trying to show that we're not biased because we're okay with the eating of the plants and the fruits, although many of us choose not to for health reasons. We're not going to shame you for making that decision. So, and comment that goes along with this from Cranky Carnivore Cutler, that the digestive system of chimpanzees and chacma baboons is omnivore, and that of humans is carnivore. The proof is in the pH, and that the pH is worth mentioning. So that's the stomach acidity. The pH of a human stomach is on par with that of vultures, which is even stronger than carnivores. So we're not only designed to be able to eat meat, but we're designed to be able to eat pretty rancid meat too, which most of us really do because it's gross. But that's pretty. That kind of goes to show what we were eating in the past, So
Dumpster chicken.
we're definitely well adapted to survival,
Dumpster
no matter
chicken.
what life throws our way. So I'm getting some reverb.
I think it's Rick.
Huh?
I'm getting some reverb. If I'm opening another window, why don't you mute that window? Okay, now it's gone now.
Oh, interesting.
Our stomach acid is so powerful. If you I had a wife who was pregnant and for 3 months. She did not eat and she vomited 20, 30 times a day. They had to go down into her esophagus and rip out the dead skin. Okay? That's how powerful the acid is in your stomach. Okay? And your stomach can correct its acid level in 2 minutes. That was Bart K. Okay? You drink a glass of water, 8 ounces. You think, well, it's going to dilute my stomach acid. It doesn't hardly touch it in a normal human being. Now, you may have some ailment that, holds that back, but the average person in 2 minutes corrects their stomach acid. And if you're just, you're not drinking a lot of water all day long, you just take a glass of water and drink it, 2 minutes later, It's not. It's virtually gone from your stomach. It's already down into the small intestine and moving on. It's moving on quickly. So you hear people say, "Well, don't drink water when you're eating your meat. Dilute the acid." If you have a problem generating stomach acid, yes, maybe. But for most people, it's not an issue. And that's from Bart K. And I don't know who else to trust other than him. Very few people. The
Yeah,
man understands science.
yeah, I like Bart K's content, so I like it. I'm glad he's kind of toned things down a bit, which I also like. I'm glad he's done that as well. But but even before, his content's really good, and he's right now he's stuck doing all these live streams instead of doing pre-recorded videos just because of his circumstances with the flooding in his house and everything. I actually enjoy his live off the cuff reactions.
I love it. I love it.
I'm liking them better than the pre-recorded stuff. So yeah, he's got some. Well, he's got a great mind and a great education, and he's got some great talent on the YouTubes as well. So better than me. I get on here and I kind of mumble and bumble and stuff. So Jamette joined us. Glad to see you here. And we have Sharon Esterson. It probably wasn't the alcohol. It was the carbs and that thing. She's referring to the margarita I talked about. So yeah, that would have been carb rich. So it was a pineapple margarita. So they actually hollowed out a pineapple and they served it in a margarita, and it was top shelf and it was strong. And I went out to Mexico. I went out to Mexico with my parents. I'm like, you know what? That sounds pretty unique. I'll try it. And I'm okay with pineapple because I'm okay with occasional fruit from time to time. And I'm not okay with the sugar in the margarita, but I was like, well, I'm just gonna do this once. But no, it's not the carbs. And I tell you why is because I've also gone out like for open mic night. I have some family that does an open mic night at a local bowling alley, and they play acoustic guitar and stuff. And so to support the venue, they'll be nice and they'll make me, a couple beef patties with cheese and bacon, and it's not on their menu, but they know the way I eat and they always accommodate it. And usually I'll have a Kentucky bourbon on the rocks. And even that one Kentucky bourbon on the rocks, the last 2 times I've had it, cramps that night. So I really know it's the alcohol, and it makes sense because I have chronic kidney disease, stage 4, stage 5, and alcohol is known to disrupt your electrolytes and dehydrate you. So I know the problem is my kidneys at this stage of the game cannot handle a heavy alcohol load. And so that's why I'm at this point where like I think I'm just done with them. And I feel the same way about salads for other reasons because they send me straight to the seat at the porcelain throne, right after having one. And I get tired of that too. And that's only after I eat a salad. So George said that he cured his cramps by doubling the salt in his food. Yes, so salt usually does the trick. And I take a 60 milligram magnesium pill at dinner time. That's the only electrolytes I take is the salt and that little low dose magnesium because I got to be careful with that too because of my kidneys. Jamette had a question, and this is good because it kind of stays on topic here. Which is better, fruit or veggies, has so much noise about it? I know on Carnivore, neither, just asking the panel's opinion. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and start that I will say it depends. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat an animal-based diet with fruit and that doesn't bother you, you don't become a slave to sugar cravings, you don't gain weight, you don't have any adverse reactions, it's perfectly healthy. If you want to eat keto or ketovore, where you say no to the fruits, but you still want to have your salad or your broccoli or your low-carb cruciferous vegetables, and they don't bother you, then great, keep doing that as well. I don't think it matters unless you have a certain reaction or a situation going on that would warrant avoiding one or the other. So for some that have a problem with plant toxins, oxalates, lectins, and the like, there's dozens of them. you might find that certain fruits are more benign and don't bother you, whereas the vegetables do bother you. And or if they don't bother you, but the fructose causes you to have insatiable cravings and fall off the wagon when it comes to your diet, then you can enjoy the cruciferous vegetables and avoid the fruits because they're sugary sweet. You might have a problem with both, and so you're going to eat carnivore for the rest of your life for the most part. So it kind of really depends on your circumstances. Both of those categories, fruits, vegetables, and meat and dairy, are what I consider foods from the earth. Okay, things that Mother Nature or Father God has provided. They're not man-made. They're not processed. So I think when you jump into that category, you're probably going to benefit over whatever you were eating before on a standard American diet: pizza, cookies, chips, pasta, things like that. So how strict you have to be is very individualistic. That's my opinion. Now, would anybody else on the panel like to comment on this question? What's better, fruit or veggies?
Well, I think you really covered it all for the most part. My only thing to add to that is my thing with fruit, because it's fructose, it goes straight to your liver. It's one of the worst things you can eat, in my opinion. If you're trying to be metabolically healthy, if I had to eat one or the other, it would be vegetable. If I was out in the wild and I was hungry and I was surviving off the land, I'd eat whatever I could eat. I've done that. I've lived like that, and I've ate, plenty of vegetable, and I ate plenty of fruit, and I ate plenty of honey when I found a honeybee hive. But if I had a choice between the two, it's going to be a vegetable. They're all going to turn to sugar when you digest them in your body. They're all going to turn to sugar, but one is going to be a worse sugar, and I believe fructose is a worse sugar because it just slams your liver, and that's just not a good thing.
And so I agree with that. And then I just think that quantity comes into play. There's a difference between eating, say, like a palm size bunch of blueberries versus eating a bowl of blueberries like this, so.
Well, exactly. And well, that brings up the berries. And I didn't think of that, but when it comes to like berries, the thought on that is if you're going to eat a fruit, it's best to eat something like berries because they have a lower glycemic index than something like an orange or an apple. So if you feel like you really got to have the fruit, go with something that's a lower glycemic index.
Amy.
So this isn't really an opinion on it, but it's more of a confession. I have a confession to make, and I don't know if it's because my IV bag had sugar in it, most likely, probably. But they made me eat something before I left the hospital today. My choices were crackers, sugar-free applesauce, a couple of other things with gluten in them, and I said absolutely no gluten. So my choice was I had one bite of the sugar-free applesauce because they made me eat something with the medication I had to take. Then we got back to the room, and they're like, you got to eat something else. And I'm like, look, I'm on a very special diet. I'm very restricted. They knew I was on carnivore. Nobody said a problem with that. And they brought me string cheese. So I'm like, I'll eat that. That's the best option. I have not had cheese since before July 7th. I've cut out all dairy except for butter. And then I ate the cheese, and then I got home, and it was ravenous. And I'm like, and again, they most likely put me full of sugar water, right? So that probably triggered some sort of spike. And I'm like, I had just cut up this Cabo white cheddar cheese for my husband to eat and put it into little grab-and-go baggies, which is very dangerous because I didn't have to cut anything. And I ate one of the bags. I'm like, I am so addicted to cheese. So I ate a couple bad things today. Well, cheese isn't really bad, but if you can't moderate it, it's probably bad. And I had the sugar glucose that they pumped into my IV, and then I had a bite of applesauce. So I'm curious to see what my next 24 to 48 hours is going to be like as far as cravings.
Yeah, I was to say the impact on that is probably going to be next to nil as far as like the scale or anything. But yeah, you could end up with cravings. That was the one thing I didn't like when I was in the hospital too. Was they had that IV drip and they're just dripping sugar water into your veins the whole time. But hey, what are you going to do? So yeah, my hospital was nice though because that was actually my first carnivore meal. I decided to become a carnivore while in post-op. They brought me a menu and I'm thinking about my future. Like, I don't know if I was losing weight on keto and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to keep this up because I'm not going to be able to exercise or walk the dog or do the trails or anything for what they told me would have been possibly 3 months. I ended up healing in 6 weeks. And so I was like, well, I might as well give this crazy carnivore diet a try that Dr. Barry keeps talking about. So my first meal was in the hospital. They brought me a menu and I had bacon, eggs, and sausage. So with some cheese.
Nice.
I've always kept cheese in my diet. So all right. Yeah. Paul, were you going to say something?
Check out.
Oh, what's that?
Bye. Meeting everybody. I gotta go.
Okay, Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna drop out too. I'm gonna go before I become like Peter.
That's not
Thank
fair.
you.
I gotta take a
That was
shower.
my scare, guys.
Did you have a heart attack?
No, stop. Don't even say that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, hey, have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Have a good
You
night.
too.
Goodbye.
Take care.
I'll be listening. Goodbye, Peter.
All right.
I'm curious about something, Bob. You mentioned, and you too, Amy. You mentioned a glucose drip. I thought what they usually gave you, at least what they always gave me, was a saline drip. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no glucose in that.
Okay, good. I have no idea. All I know is I woke up starving, and maybe it's because I didn't really eat in 24 hours. And I hope it was just saline water. I hope it was just salt water. That's what saline water is, right? Salt water. I hope it was just
No,
salt
they
water.
hooked me up. He told me what was in the bag, and it was even labeled. It was even labeled glucose or dextrose or something like that.
Wow.
And I initially was like, what's that? And he explained it to me, and he's like, he goes like, I mean, he goes, we won't put this on you if you don't, if it's against your will or something. And I was like, no, just do what you got to do, because I was there with a, with a broken leg, so they went ahead and hooked that up to me. It was to rehydrate me plus give me energy or something. So yeah, so it did have glucose or dextrose in the drip.
I'll be darned. Yeah. I'm pretty sure all I ever get is a saline drip, to hydrate, and it might have some electrolytes in it, but
Yeah.
I will definitely watch that next time they're going to stick something in my arm. I'm going to ask them about that. I don't want none of your stinking sugar water. You can give me all the salt you want. You keep that sugar water away from me. And I've told my wife.
Yeah.
I've told my wife next time I'm in the hospital for an extended stay, she's going to be kept pretty busy bringing me food, because I will flat refuse to eat anything they put in front of me. I ain't going to eat nothing the hospital's got. I don't even want their eggs, because I know they're cooked in seed oils.
You're just a non-compliant patient.
I have always been a nonconformist, sir. Always.
Non-compliant.
Yeah.
Duck food.
It's in my
Yep,
file
okay.
so many times, over and over and over.
I actually prefer the term positive deviant.
I'll bring that up to my doc.
So
never-
George's input here was that in his opinion, fruit was worse than veggies because of the fructose. He doesn't touch either one. So
Yeah, totally on board with
Yeah, but-
what Jeff said. So yeah, Jeff
Different
said it
fruit
for me.
though.
But
There are fruits.
A fruit is not 100% fructose. It's about half
right.
of that.
Avocado, coconut. Plantain.
Good point. We're thinking sweet fruits.
Yeah, but anything with a seed is a fruit.
Are you able to turn your volume down just a hair, Rick?
Yeah. Is it too loud?
Any,
There you go. I like that. That's good.
Okay.
Even your sweetest fruits are at least 40% glucose. Most of them all.
Yeah. So, again, it's really individualistic. So most of us on this panel, and most of us who choose to do carnivore or keto, we had a real problem with sugar, whether it was addiction or just made us fat. So we're kind of inherently against fruit. So we're going to lean more towards we think of carnivore as an extension of the keto diet. And so, if we're going to quote unquote cheat, we're going to cheat with a keto friendly low carb vegetable.
Cheat with steak.
But that's, that's that, but not every person on a carnivore diet, an animal-based diet is a carnivore diet, and they eat fruit and honey. Now, again, if someone eats that way and they just have a little fruit and occasional honey, they're probably going to be just fine. They're not going to hurt their liver. They're not going to hurt their body. Nothing weird is going to happen. Man has been eating that for as long as man's been around, and it's not that big of a deal. But there's some people out there that promote an animal-based diet. They're super smart, but they encourage you to eat 400 grams of carbohydrates a day. And it's like, well, hold on a second. That's 1,600 calories. That's 1,600 calories from fructose or sugar. And then how is it animal-based anymore when 1,600 calories a day is coming from sugar? To me, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think you can call it animal-based at that point anymore.
The American Diabetes Association is about 240 to 265 carbs for a male.
Right. I think it's too much. So I'm like Dr. Berry. So I'm a self-confessed student of Dr. Berry. I believe in the proper human diet spectrum, so you can be carnivore on one end, you can be up to 100 calories on the other. And Dr. Berry thinks that that's for most people, that should be in the form of low carbohydrate vegetables. Okay. I think it includes some fruit too. And so does he. He won't talk about it much, but he'll admit that he gives his kids a little fruit here and there because they're kids, and as long as it's natural and from the earth, it's just fine. He tries to keep that carbohydrate count low. So I'm the same way. If you can keep that carbohydrate count low and you want to enjoy some fruit and it doesn't negatively affect you, man, go for it. We're not going to shame the vegan that was in here flapping his gums, an hour ago. We're not going to shame someone for eating some fruit and honey. I'm just not going to do it. So,
and if you surf 3 hours a day, eat all the fruit you want.
Right.
Except fruit is nasty.
Sharon says, I gave up bottled dressing years before carnivore. I would take my own olive oil to restaurants. I loved the salad in combination with everything else and consumed a 16-ounce spring mix every few days. So, that's what I should do because, on the once or twice a month that we do go out and I've gotten the salad, aside from the issue of I run right to the bathroom now, it seems, when I have a salad.
Like me.
Usually I get ranch dressing, and I know it's a seed oil. And but yeah, that's a good idea. I would ask for oil and vinegar, but most of these places, they don't have actual olive oil. They're giving you soybean oil and vinegar. So there's kind of no point. So I'll just have the ranch then. So
why would anybody want to eat a salad? I mean, you might as well go in your yard and eat grass.
So
put the vinegar on the grass.
Salad. Remember, salad is the combination. A salad is the combination. Okay. So it's like saying, why would someone just want to eat the crust when you could eat the whole pizza? It's the salad. When I say salad, I'm talking about the whole works. Salads. I grew up trained to eat everything on my plate, so there's actually very little I don't like. So
where do you think you're gonna find non-rancid olive oil? I can't find any.
Not unless you got olive tree.
Every olive oil I've bought over the last 5 years has been rancid. Right out of the bottle. Rancid.
How do you know?
Put it in my mouth and taste it.
You can smell it.
So
You could probably smell it too, but if you're out in the wild, let's say you're out in the wild and you got to survive and you see some berries. Well, if you don't know what those berries are, you just don't go over and eat handful after handful.
Right. You can't be poison berries.
You take a small, like, tablespoon serving, you chew it up for 5 minutes. You pack it up between your cheek and gum for 5 more or 10 more minutes. This is a survival skill. No burning, no numbness, okay, swallow it. Now, 3 hours later, you don't have any digestion problems. You're not sitting on a log, hollow log, okay? Then you can go back and start eating those berries. But you just don't go out and grab stuff out of the wild and eat it. Most of it can be very toxic.
96% of plants are toxic.
Yeah. And, I taught when I was a younger man in finishing high school, I was a water safety instructor for the Red Cross. I taught life-saving skills, and I would offer classes in water survival, how to survive in the ocean or in the lake. And a lot of sportsmen, the guys are fishermen, but they don't know how to swim. We want to know how to survive. So I'd offer this class, and stuff like that, and teach people these things. And the wild can be a really rough place. Even if you do get yourself an animal and you got a sharp knife, do you know how to gut it out?
I do.
I'll never forget my first one. I didn't do so well. I couldn't. I had to throw my first rabbit away. I had to throw it away.
Iguana's easy.
Iguana's easy. So can you make a jerky out of iguana?
Well, it'd be probably pretty tough. Reptile meat isn't good for drying. It's best boiled, stewed, or fried.
Oh, okay.
It's like fish.
Oh, man.
Andre says, nobody likes leaves. The best part of the salad is the protein and the fat. And yes, I would agree with that. If you just hand me a plate of lettuce, get that crap out of my face. So Jeff's right there too. I completely agree with that. So no, to make that thing palatable, you need the tomato, which is fruit. You need the chicken, you need the cheese, you need the dressing of your choice. Then it becomes something palatable. But yeah, no, just give me a bowl full of lettuce. No thanks. I'm not a rabbit.
Or
I'd rather starve. And in fact, even if I eat it, I'm still gonna starve. So
well, I was at the doctor's today. It was my last appointment in a series of appointments with a wound care specialist. Okay, and the nurse, very, very intelligent nurse. And so while she's doing all the things she's doing, she's talking to me, asking me questions, and she said, I know what you eat in your diet. Are you still eating that, and are you eating enough? Okay? Because they want the essential proteins and the essential fats in your diet so you can heal as quickly as possible. And this is the only time I've ever come in contact with being asked nutrition questions in a doctor's office, okay? They're real big on enough protein and enough fats. And a few other things too, but they're really big on that. Really big on it. And I say, yeah, and she was interested. How many ounces of ground beef do you eat at a sitting? And I says, I only eat once. And I says, I normally have anywhere from 12 to 18 ounces, depending upon how hungry I am, or if I'm going heavy on the eggs that day. Sometimes I get a hankering for eggs. I don't know why, but I guess your body needs it and you want it. I think eggs are very important to our diet. At least for me, I think eggs are extremely important. There may be minerals and nutrients in those yolks and even in the whites maybe a little bit that I need. And maybe my eyes need it, my liver needs it, my kidneys need it. My pancreas may need it, I hope one day I have a breakthrough, and I can say, guess what? My pancreas has returned to life. Okay? I hope I can make that announcement someday. It may take another 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know. It may never happen. But it sure would be damn exciting if it did happen.
Going back
What
to the
I've
chat
learned
here.
what I've learned most importantly is you don't want to see blood sugar spiking up over 150. You don't want to see that real sharp rise up to 155 and beyond. That's the thing you got to make sure does not happen in your body.
That would be, yeah, and you probably deal with that if you're diabetic for sure. Tom said he sent me an email. Good, I'll look for that. Terry said, salad kicked me in the guts last night. I ate a teeny bowl of butter lettuce with cherry tomatoes. My colon got mad this morning. Yeah, so that's what happened to me the last couple times, or more than a couple times. My colon says, what is this? Get it out now. I don't have to wait till morning either. So George says berries are probably safer than bananas. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Banana is like one big sugar bomb. So Dr. Berry has a video of like the 5 or 7 fruits you should avoid if you're a type 2 diabetic, and like bananas is definitely on that list because it is
all the tropical. Well, there will be right now. There's no bananas. 10 years from now, there'll be no bananas. There'll be none.
I know that. Here's a little trivia thing that I learned: is the bananas we eat
here
today is not the bananas we ate several decades ago, because there was actually I think a virus or some sort of
animal disease. It's a fungus.
Some sort of disease wiped out those bananas, and so now we actually grow a different type of banana.
It's
today.
a fungal disease.
A fungal disease. Okay.
But there's a new disease hitting the banana plantations now, and they have not been able to stop it at all.
It's a banana-demic.
It's another Panama disease.
There's more sugar in the average banana than there is in a Snickers bar.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Matter of fact, I think Ken Berry did it. He had the Snickers and the Coke, can of real Coke, 12-ounce can of Coke and a Snickers bar versus Cheerios, banana, and skim milk. And he said the Snickers bar and Coke was a better choice. Not by much, but it was a better choice.
Well, it's funny. If I try to eat a Snickers bar, I'll get horrible diarrhea. If I eat a banana, it doesn't bother me.
I don't know. You know what your problem is, Rick?
Snickers bar's got all the ultra-processed ingredients in it. A banana is pretty benign. It's just natural sugar. You know.
You're the only person here that's been carnivore more than you've not been carnivore.
True.
Okay? So you don't know what it's like to be sick because of eating crap food. You really don't know. And it doesn't... Right. Why have you been healthy all your life? Because you've eaten that proper human diet all your life, virtually.
Heart attack diet.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting to see the heart attack.
He says that.
I mean, it's coming.
You probably got a negative CAC score. You probably, I'm minus 40. I'm minus 40. I'm waiting for something to clog up a little bit.
Have you seen my blood pressure?
No. Can anybody see it? What is
several
it?
weeks ago. It's pretty low. It's pretty low.
It's a step above
90 over 60.
Blood pressure. Every
That's
live
pretty low.
only shows it to us.
He's one step above a cadaver.
Yeah.
One step above a cadaver. So Andre says India has the highest rate of heart disease, and they eat mostly vegetarian. So this was a comment to Levi earlier, our vegan troll.
But
yeah, this is actually very good points to ponder. The nation is very vegan, and they have the heart.
But their sugar consumption's increasing dramatically because they don't like wheat, and they don't like corn, and that's what they buy from us, and they have to add sugar to it to eat it.
Don't they have the highest rate of diabetes as well?
They have the highest rate of diabetes too.
Yes.
Well, sugar is vegan.
Yep.
You know,
they're all in terrible shape too. They got a stomach that sticks out.
Right. So yeah. So and again, that also brings up a good point too. Someone can say that they're vegan, but if they're eating all this ultra processed vegan foods, then they're probably not doing their body any justice either. So they're better
Aren't Oreo
served by
cookies?
eating what the earth provides. So
Aren't Oreo cookies vegan?
what's
I
that?
think they are. Oreo cookies, aren't they vegan?
Technically, yes.
I think they are, yeah.
Even the cream filling is palm oil.
Do you know that cream filling was designed by a food scientist to feel wonderful in your mouth with milk?
It's
That's how it
disgusting.
was designed. And that was back, yeah, that was back in 1910, 1914. The guy who made the Hydrox cookie that preceded the Oreo cookie, Nabisco went over to hire this guy and says, here, make us the Oreo cookie. It's a Hydrox formula, really, but they improved the filling,
Mm-hmm.
and it was made to taste good with milk.
Okay, well, I mean, these food scientists work hard to make all food ridiculously palatable, so you keep going back for more. So,
And you cannot compete. Your best baker cannot compete with the food scientist. They cannot.
I've heard it referred to the
tasteless
bliss point.
crap.
Has anybody else heard it referred to the bliss point? The scientists are looking for the bliss point that makes people
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
It
My son
already
was
exists in steak.
my son was a very intelligent chef, and he told me, he says, all the bakeries, virtually all the bakeries, you see these beautiful cakes, and you think it's made from scratch. No, they got a mix they use. They can't compete. They can't make something from scratch as good as the chemist. And most of these guys have a degree in chemistry, organic
Yes, they do.
chemistry.
Yep.
And that's a tough profession to hoe. And the first scientist who figured out how to make a diet soda taste like a real soda, he did it with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper was the first soda that people couldn't distinguish diet from real. And he went from company to company to company and collected his fee and showed them how to do it.
Amy says, and the Cancer Institute is paid by who? So this goes back again to the vegan guy earlier who was quoting the Cancer Institute. That's actually a good point too. In government, in a lot of these institutes, okay, these associations and whatnot, you have lobbyists throwing them money to make them say what they want them to say. So there's a lot of bias involved in these so that's why you got to go to. Well, I was going to say that's why you got to go to PubMed and read the studies, but even a lot of those studies are biased too. You really got to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to these things too.
Yeah, but they generally print out their biases.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to add
But
to
you go
that,
back-
how are these studies conducted? They actually interview people. The people fill out what they ate in a month or a week, and they have to try to figure out and remember everything that they ate. And do you always remember what you eat unless you're using a tracking app? I mean, come on, even on Carnivore, there's maybe 5 or 6 foods we eat. And I still don't even remember what I ate last week. So these people are filling out their surveys, and that's how the studies are conducted. And I'm sorry, but it's trash. I'm sorry to report to you, but the results are trash.
Yep. And most people don't have enough science in their brain. They don't know how to read any of these studies and pick them apart. Okay? You watch Bart Kane, look at the things he comes up with when he's picking apart a study, okay? He goes, that's trash, throw it away. That's trash, throw it away. And a lot of this stuff that they publish is garbage, okay? And people say, well, this study showed this right here. Well, it was a poor study. And you aren't smart enough to realize how poor a study it was. And, I took more statistics in college than I ever wanted to remember. And if you're a really powerful statistician and you can explain it to people, you can make a lot of damn money. In 1976, my college professor, his daily consulting fee was $5,000 a day. Because he could get up there and explain to a judge and a jury why ABC Chemical Company did not pollute that river. Matter of fact, what they did helped that river. And he could explain all this to like a 12-year-old kid. And the judge would go, oh. And the jury go, oh, they're not guilty. You know? And the EPA went down the tubes because he beat every case they brought to form. Anyhow. You know, that's why you can cite all the studies you want, but here's the real question. Is the study any damn good? And as the lady in the recliner pointed out, sorry, I forgot your name.
It's Amy.
Yeah, Amy. Yeah. These studies are horrible because you had a piece of pepperoni on your pizza. You're a meat eater. That was all meat. Oh, you had a hamburger? Well, the rolls and the fries and the Coke that went with it, that's all considered meat. Yeah, certainly meat kills you. It's the carbs that kill you. Carbs kill. You know, here's the funny thing about all this. You go back to 1940, and the sugar, we had four major sugar industries, four main businesses in the United States that made sugar. And they hired the best attorneys, and they pointed, look at that saturated fat over there. That's where the problem is. And everybody let the sugar companies go, okay? And it was all fat then. And what we do in World War II, we sent all our soldiers cigarettes, coffin nails. And real quick, we found out, tobacco is a bad thing. Got to keep these people addicted to it. They go, well, what are we going to do for lawyers? Go hire those lawyers who got the sugar companies out of trouble. All those attorneys went and worked for the tobacco companies in the 50s and into the 60s. There was doctors recommending that you smoke.
During the Second World War, the soldiers got the cigarettes through the K rations. Does anybody know who invented the K rations?
I don't.
I've forgotten.
Ansel Keys.
Yeah, it was Keys.
Yeah, the K in the K rations.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Not only is he responsible for the diet's heart hypothesis, but he was also responsible for the cigarettes in the soldiers' rations in World War II.
Well, I can remember I was fascinated with science fairs when I was like a third grader. So I was like 9 years old, right? Every kid that won the science fair took the vacuum cleaner and made it smoke cigarettes, okay? And they show the cotton ball how black it got. Well, that's your lung right there, getting black, okay? And they'd win hands down. Think about it today. You can't go into a store and just pick up cigarettes off the shelf and go up to the cashier and buy them. They're behind the wall, okay? You got to ask for them. 60 years from now, that's probably the way it'll be for a Snickers bar. It won't be available. You'll have to ask for it, and you'll have to show ID.
Well, that'll be something if it turns out that way.
That won't happen.
I don't think so, because that's still the big profit machine, and it's all about money and these food companies trying to have their way, push the stuff.
But have you ever thought of this? What if the way we're eating somehow protects us from something that kills everybody else? Okay.
Well,
so a planetary virus, and if you're eating carnivore, your chances of survival are 95%. But if you're not, if you're eating the standard American diet or you're eating vegetarian, you're going to die. Okay.
Well, except nothing works that way in real life.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could. No. That's evolution.
A virus isn't going to be like, okay, let's kill that guy because he's a vegan and we're going to let this carnivores alone. That's not going to happen.
No, I'm just saying it could be a virus that comes from anywhere.
But I mean, so your immune system is going to be a wee bit better on carnivore, maybe a lot better on carnivore, but you take some than it would be if you were on the standard American diet at the same age. But take someone who's like 18 and they're eating the standard American diet, but they're 18, and so nothing can.
Hey, no.
Oh yeah.
No, time out. Hold on a second. I was 22 years old. Okay.
Okay.
And I got my first corporate job. I graduated as an engineer in 1978. I got one of the top salaries in my class, $18,000 a year. Okay, big money back then. So I went to work for FMC, big chemical conglomerate corporation, and they were real big on you have a corporate physical every year. And so I'm 22 years old. Yeah, I'm knocking down a couple beers at night and a bag of chips, doing all that standard stuff. Okay. I know where every donut shop is. And he goes, your blood pressure's rising, going up a bit. You need to lay off the beer and the chips. That was a precursor to my diabetes.
Yes. Right. I get it.
And 35 years later, when I was 35, just 12 years later, I was type 2 diabetic.
Because you didn't listen.
Well, here's the other question for carnivores, okay? For us carnivores. If I had heard this when I was 40, would have I taken note of it? Would have I done anything about it? I don't know.
Hard to say.
What would have been?
I wouldn't have listened to any of this until it came down to my life was on the line because of my poor health.
Yeah.
Because I was raised, eat your fruits and vegetables. I'm actually very religious, and so my religious background tells me God gave us fruits and vegetables to eat. So I've got a little cognitive dissonance here with the way I eat now, versus the way I used to eat. But then again, I was the processed food that I was really into then too, all the junk food. So
yeah.
I a lot of these things go through my head here, But what I'm saying is you mentioned 22 was the beginning of your decline and that eventually led to diabetes. But, when you were, 16, 17, 18, 19, it was much harder to upset the apple cart. Let's take, let's take the C word, for example, from the pandemic, COVID. Okay. All right. So what we learned was that the young people, they didn't have a problem with this.
Right.
But if you were old or had comorbidities, you were more likely to die or have severe complications. That's because the younger people have robust immune systems. And that's why the younger people, they can go to college and live off of ramen noodles, which is absolute turd when it comes to food and nutrition. And they're fine. But at about to turn 50 this year, if I tried to eat a diet of nothing but ramen noodles, I'd be dead next year. Because my health is not like it was when I was 20. That's the point that I was trying to make. So you mentioned this imaginary virus, that manifests itself and wipes out all the vegans because carnivores are healthier. Well, but these young people are healthy too, and they're not carnivores. They're just young. They just have the benefit of being young. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That was very. Asian populations are much younger than our populations. They had much less of the virus than we did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because over here everybody's eating junk, and so they're not as healthy. So and if you're not as healthy, you're going to see more side effects, symptoms, or whatever you want to call them. So, but what we do know is like this comment here from George: carnivore cures morbid obesity, type 2 diabetes, high triglycerides and hypertension, and more.
That was a riposte to Levi. He kept on quoting people and then putting their names after it. So I thought, well, I'm just as relevant as those people that he was quoting.
That's true. Yeah.
So my scientific study proves that carnivore cures morbid obesity, type 2 diabetes, high triglycerides, and hypertension. And I am that study. So there we go.
And that is absolutely correct. That brings us to our next comment here. I raised my creatinine on carnivorous diet. Then in India, they are vegetarian. They said do not take meat, but I did not stop. I take meat per day. My kindly are okay. Meat is life. Okay. So yes, on this channel, we believe in a carnivore centric diet. Doesn't mean you have to eat nothing but meat, but we believe that meat is super valuable. Okay. For the fat soluble vitamins, the protein you needed to build and maintain tissue in your body, it's definitely a requirement for a proper human diet. And yes, will your creatinine go up if you eat meat? It will, because creatinine is a protein waste product. So, and if you're like me, who has kidneys that are in bad shape, your creatinine actually goes through the roof because your kidneys can't keep up with eliminating it. But that's actually okay because creatinine floating around in your blood is actually pretty harmless. So yeah, keep eating the meat with whatever else you're doing, unless it's ultra processed garbage. So,
Well, that was God's gift to man, was the beef cow. I believe that.
anybody ever curious what a giant sloth would have tasted like?
I don't know, but I'd add it just to find
A
out.
giant sloth or a
You know,
woolly mammoth or something,
Dinosaurs.
the genetic makeup of like beef cattle varies. Okay, an
Mhm.
Angus steak is much different than a Dexter steak. You know, an old Angus cow is not as tasty as a old Dexter cow. You know, the genetics and the quality of the feed, that's what affects your protein sources. And the the you know why chickens are so big? Because all the chicken producers, the great big companies, they got a lock on the genetics. Okay, they've mastered the genetics of those chickens, and they know exactly how much to feed them, when to feed them, how to feed them, and if you're going to raise meat chickens in your backyard, you got to solve that problem. You got to figure that out, or you're not going to raise very good chickens.
Yeah, well, that's well, one, that's good business if you're a businessman. But I will say that probably you go ahead and eat chicken and pork if you want. The caution would be if you can find free range or pasture raised, that would be better because
Parking lot chicken.
yeah, parking lot chicken. A lot of them are fed soy and corn, so they have a high omega-6 profile. So again, not that omega-6s are inherently bad for you, but if you have too much of them, that can be a problem. So yeah. All right. Cranky Carnivore, in relation to what Jeff said earlier, says, my DO's perspective on diet is exactly like the typical MD, except that she does not argue with me or my experience. So you said you were going to look for a DO over an MD.
Right.
And I see the logic in that. I think in the past, my DOs seemed more patient friendly, than the MDs have. But my current doctor, who is an MD, and I've been seeing him for 15 years, he's actually, when I started my carnivore diet and lost a bunch of weight, we were really butting heads and arguing. He's actually become really cool lately. So right now, I was thinking I was going to have to find a new doctor, but now I don't think that's the case. I'm actually enjoying seeing my doctor now. He's become much more reasonable. I think I just had to put my foot down enough. And then also he prescribed something that actually made a condition worse, and I think that kind of humbled him a little bit. So, all right, here's Jamet asks, what did we all do before keto and carnivore? My grandma lived to 94 eating meat, potato, and veggie. Don't figure. So the answer to that is notice that what you listed, meat, potato, and veggie, is still foods from the earth. It's unprocessed, and yeah, that's I've heard people say, you should try to eat like your grandma used to eat, or you try to eat like your great grandma used to eat, at a bare minimum, because that before, they didn't have spicy Cheetos and they didn't have all this junk, back in that era. Most people from that era, they had they had farms, they had animals,
And
or
they didn't eat
they had
six
their
times a
gardens.
day.
They had their gardens, they had their animals, and they did not subsist on a diet of 100% ultra processed food.
Sugar wasn't in everything. Seed oils wasn't in everything. Pesticides wasn't in everything, and most of the food was not at that time was not GMO modified.
And
Yeah, so
they yeah.
if you go back 150 years, okay, so that'd put you in what, 1875. diet wouldn't even really be a hot topic like it is today, because most everybody was skinny. Most everybody was healthy.
Mhm.
So you had some outliers, of course, but for the most part, you've probably seen those photos of like, oh, a picture of people on the beach in 1960, and they all look fit and healthy, in their trunks and their bikinis and everything. Nobody's overweight whatsoever. They all look like they could actually have an extra burger or two. And then you look at then you take a picture today of the beach, and everybody looks like a beached whale, and the difference is back then people ate like your grandma ate: steak, potato, veggie. That's a huge factor right there. Is what we put in our mouths today.
But they weren't eating 6 meals a day either.
Yeah, maybe they might have been doing 3: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Snacking
Yeah,
wasn't
but
really a
they
thing.
weren't doing 6.
Yeah.
Well, I can just go back to my childhood alone. We didn't snack between meals. We didn't snack between meals. We ate 3 meals a day.
My grandparents ate 5 meals a day. They had breakfast, they had 11s, they had lunch, they had afternoon tea, and then supper in the evening. That was a ritual for them every day. But I guess the portions weren't that big.
Yeah. I remember my mother told me one time, it was like 8:00. I was going to go get something to eat, She said, well, maybe tomorrow when you eat your dinner, you'll think a little bit more about eating a proper dinner, Then you won't be hungry at 8:00. Go to bed. Okay.
Here's a couple funny comments here. Bob, do you have some sound effects to revive Papa Carnivore? Peter, well, we know that Peter doesn't snore due to carnivore diet. And I would die if I fell asleep on camera. So, I did that on Kilsa's Mighty Tribe probably about 2 months ago on a Monday night, or Monday afternoon, evening. He hosts this thing at 5:30 and mine's at 8. So I got online, joined his Zoom call, and I was just sitting here in the chair, and I just dozed off, and I slept for the whole thing. And then when I woke up, I went back and looked at the chat, and yeah, they were all making digs at me too, because I guess it was pretty funny. But he looked comfortable. I was like this.
Yeah, Bob, I did the same thing on a Zoom call class on the course, because I just got back from the States and I had jet lag, and I ended up doing that. And Bill Cook picks up on it straight away, believe me. And when I looked up, there was straight in the chat that George is asleep.
I think Bill Cook's the one that saw that I fell asleep too. I think he was the first one to comment.
Yeah, I think he looks for it. So there we go. Typical Navy.
I was laughing so hard earlier. I think I busted the stitch out.
Don't do that. That's funny. All right, Bill. Speaking of Bill Cook, he asks, Rick, how the hell did you come up with the idea of eating iguana to begin with?
All right. It's actually pretty simple. I'm a gardener. I grow fruits and vegetables, and I give them away. My parents were alive at the time. My dad liked his mangoes and avocados and pineapples and all this stuff. Well, I started losing fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's bad enough I got to deal with the squirrels, and I'll shoot them and cook them up. But then all of a sudden, the papayas are being eaten, tomatoes are being eaten, they're eating the hibiscus flowers. Like, what is eating all my plants? And I see these iguanas taking over. So I got upset. It was over there eating my hibiscus bush. I had my spade. I was trying to dig a hole. So I chewed the iguana out of there. When he got on the ground, I chopped his head off with a shovel, and I was going to throw him out. So I pick up this iguana, and I look at it. It's like, kind of look like frog legs, and there's a tail. It's like a little gator tail. I wonder if this thing is edible. So I took out my knife, and I cut off the legs and the tail. I washed it with a hose. I brought it in the house, and I looked at it. I go, that looks like some good meat there. And I cut the tail in pieces along with the legs, put it in a pot, put water in it, put a little salt in it, threw it on the stove, see if I could get the skin off. And I start cooking it. It starts swelling up. And I was able to take a knife and score it and peel the skin off. And it's like, that looks almost like fish. So I figured out I'm going to take a bite out of it. And I took a bite out of it. I know it was 2005 because we had Hurricane Katrina and Wilma that year. And that was the first time I ate an iguana. And I was like, wow, this thing's pretty good. So the next time I saw an iguana, I did the same thing. I killed it and I cut it up and cooked it up. And then it just became a habit because they're kind of addictive. You start eating them, they're really tasty. You know?
Addiction.
Yeah. Next thing you know, I'm looking all around the neighborhood for iguanas. I got all the ones in my yard. My neighbor
Oh,
down the
God.
street, she's upset. Oh, they're eating all my flowers. I go over there. I go to a friend's house. Everybody's telling me, hey, Rick, you want some iguanas? Come and get them. So I started killing every iguana I get my hands on. And hundreds of iguanas later, I'm still doing it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
eat gator and I eat snake. I'd eat iguana if we had them in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I love frog legs.
I just picked up one on, what was it, Friday? I cooked it up, then I picked up another one. I ate one last night.
You got iguanas down there like we got squirrels up here.
That's
If
right.
I ever make it back down to Florida again, I'm gonna go on an iguana hunt. They actually have guided iguana hunts now.
Really?
Yeah. You go down the canals, in boats and use air rifles.
Yep. I use a crossbow. That way I got a reel on it. It's like bow fishing,
Right.
except you're doing it with iguanas. So when you shoot them and they go in the water, you can reel them in. I use a bolt with a wide tip. That way when it goes through their head, it stays in.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for answering that. Someday I'll get down there and I'm going to try some iguana. Let's see here.
I'll never understand how people can eat that nasty processed food because that stuff is all disgusting. How anybody gets addicted to it, I'll never know.
Bob, I've done a bit of research tonight. Do you want me to read out a couple of points that I've picked up on?
On addiction? On processed
No,
food addiction?
we discussed statins earlier. We discussed chimpanzees earlier, and we discussed the bliss point. If you're interested in any of those, I can give you a couple of facts.
Sure. In a moment, I'm going to run to the restroom. I'm going to run to the restroom and come back.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was looking for a comment here that maybe you guys could talk about. So. Well, maybe you can talk about it anyway. So Mandy here says, I started this twice. I see what's going on. Let me hide that one. Okay. By single origin. So we're back to the olive oil comment. Single origin. I know that's something you want to do. You want to get something that's sold for multiple areas. One of the best olive oils is called the Governor Limited Edition Early Harvest Extra Virgin Olive Oil. That's one of many. Check that out. So yeah. So olive oil, I know you have to be picky when you're shopping for it. So single origin is one of the things you want to look for. You also want to look for olive oil that's in a glass bottle and not a plastic bottle. And then if you have a date of manufacture on it, that's another thing you want to look for to try and make sure that it's not going to be rancid. So I would not know if I had rancid olive oil. I think every olive oil I've bought has been pretty good. So, and olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil are actually all keto carnivore approved because they're not seed oils. So they're actually fruit oils, and they've been around. Humans have been using those for eons and eons and eons, unlike the seed oils that have only been around for the last century and a half or something like that. Early 1900s, I think, when they started doing that.
1911, Crisco, Procter and Gamble. Procter and Gamble brought in Crisco in 1911, crystallized corn oil. And the seed oils themselves weren't used until the 1940s in their liquid form.
Yeah. So, and then if you study the process that it takes to extract the oil from these seeds, it's actually pretty grotesque.
It was only when they discovered how to hydrogenate them in the 1940s that they were able to keep them stable enough to actually sell them as cooking oils versus margarine or Crisco.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So I'll be back. Go ahead and if you want to start talking about some of those points, bliss points, and some of the other information that you looked up for us, that would be great. So I'll be back in 2 minutes.
3 points to just, I think we discussed statins, chimpanzees, and bliss points tonight. Anybody here know when statins actually came on the market? What year? Okay. Paul, you think you're giving a go? A decade? Anybody want to have a go at a decade?
I think it was like this. It was about 1960s, I believe, when they first.
Anybody else?
They were looking at that pathway.
Yeah. Okay, so the research started in Japan in 1976, and the first statin came on the market in September 1987. It was lovastatin, otherwise known as Mecavor, and it was approved by the FDA. So, if we need statins to survive as a human race, how did we survive up until 1987 when the first of the statins came on the market?
Good point.
We have had statins now for, what's that, fewer than 40 years? For about 38 years, statins have been on the market. What has happened in those 38 years? Coronary heart disease, Alzheimer's, PCOS, diabetes, cancer has gone through the effing roof. So statins, 1987, September 1987 was the first statin. So that's one for you to take away from with tonight, guys, when you next time you talk about statins.
And
less than 40 years that they've been on the market, and look what's happened in those 40 years. Okay, so go on. We'll have a discussion. I don't mind. I've got 2 more points to raise, but I want to wait till Bob comes back for the chimpanzees.
Don't forget, back then people smoked too.
Yeah,
well, not only that time period also coincides with the seed oils and coincides with the corn syrup. You know, they're very off. So you get that stacking effect, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But you know,
maybe if we only had seed oils, and we didn't have statins, and we didn't have these other bad things, maybe we would have not been so bad. But you know what diabetes costs this nation every day? Every day, $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion every day. That's what diabetes costs just in America.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we dealt with statins. Now we're going to go on to the bliss point. And I found this quotation: the food industry's bliss point is the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat. And it was developed by psychophysicist Howard Moskowitz. So it actually was one man who discovered the bliss point, Howard Moskowitz. And I happen to know that they actually employed university students, 100 at a time, to come in, and then the most popular sort of taste would be the one which would be decided to be the bliss point. So so the bliss point is a real thing. It is a real scientific thing invented by one man, Howard Moskowitz. So there we go. Right, the next one's a really interesting one to me, because talking about chimpanzees being carnivore or omnivore, as I suppose they are. But I remembered when I was a child, as a young boy, watching David Attenborough. He's a very famous biologist over here in the UK, and he actually filmed chimpanzees hunting. Now, when we think about chimpanzees, do we think of them as scavengers? Do we think of them as opportunist hunters who'll grab something running past? Or how do we think of them? Yeah, Rick's given that one. Well, what if I was to tell you that they are as efficient? Jeff will know this. He's ex-army. They are efficient at setting an ambush as your average special forces are. They have what do they call it? Where is it? Drivers, blockers, and ambushers. So basically, they have the guys that actually walk up on the prey, and then they drive them down through the trees. They're colobus monkeys mainly. And then they got the guys on the flank who stop the colobus monkeys from escaping to the flank. And then at the very end, you've got the big guys. You've got the big guns, the big old silverback chimpanzees. They catch the colobus monkeys and kill them. And how do I know this? Because there is a very, very graphic 4-minute and 10-second video, which I found tonight, which was what I remembered. And it's out on YouTube. Bob, do you want to take a note of this for future reference? It's on YouTube.
Go ahead.
It's on YouTube. It's BBC Earth is the channel.
BBC Earth.
Yeah, and the title is Chimps set up an ambush for monkeys. Stroke Trials of Life, BBC Earth. So chimps set up an ambush for monkeys on BBC Earth, and it is graphic. It is quite horrific. Even I felt sorry for the monkey because you actually saw it being killed. You saw fear in its eyes, and then you saw it being disemboweled. So if anybody's got a weak stomach, do not watch this. If anybody's got any doubts about being carnivore, do not watch this, because I found it quite disturbing, to be perfectly honest with you. And I, as you know, I'm a war veteran myself. I actually felt more sorry for that monkey than I did for half the things that I saw happen in Desert Storm. So chimpanzees aren't opportunists necessarily, hunters. They're not scavengers. They are an efficient special forces type of a hunting operation. So that was a real eye opener for me. I did remember it from when I was young. So yeah, those are the 3 points. So we covered statins, we covered the bliss point, and we covered the hunting skills of the carnivorous chimpanzee. And I wouldn't want to be a colobus monkey anywhere near a chimpanzee, to be honest with you. Okay, thanks for hearing me out, guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I was watching. They're showing up in my Facebook feed right now. I should try and bookmark one and play it on here sometime. But I've seen these videos of they're probably young kids in primitive African tribes, and they're eating baboons, and they look like baboons. I mean, like they you have these kids. They're elementary school age, maybe even kindergarten size or younger, and they have this baboon that's off of a fire. It's been skinned. It was put on a fire, and they're holding it, and it's still got like the skull and the hands and the feet and the tail. And they're sitting there, these kids, like it's candy, and they're just eating it, and that's what they do over there. And I'm just thinking, like, okay, that's very unique, because that's, you know, culturally that's not the way we're going to eat anything, but they're probably more closer to a primitive human lifestyle than obviously we are, you know. And so it's very revealing. Like, look at that. They're eating it, and it still looks like an animal. It doesn't look like a steak. It still looks like an animal, and they're chomping away at it. Hi, Willow. How you doing? You come to say hi? Here's Willow Puppy. Hey, Willow. How you doing? Lay down. So yeah, very interesting. And I saw another video of a bunch of individuals, adults and children. They had I think it was a rhinoceros hanging, his feet tied around a pole, and they were carrying it somewhere, and they set it up. This pole also served as a spit, and they built a fire underneath it. And so this fire was underneath this rhinoceros, skin and all. And then when it was done, everybody in this tribe, and their clothes were a little more modern, they didn't look as primitive, but they went in there with their hands and just started tearing the skin and tearing the flesh apart. Kids and adults and everybody gathered around this thing and eating it. All of that's very graphic, but it's just interesting. Like, you know, if that's how humans survive, you know, especially back then. And someone made a comment. I didn't star it, so I've already lost it. I think it was Cranky Carnivore said that it'd be a good idea to learn what's edible within a 5-mile radius of where you live for when the crap hits the fan, and which is good advice. But I always say, you know, I would have to learn that because I can't think of anything. I always say, as an example of why we're, you know, carnivores or omnivores versus like herbivores or vegans, is drop yourself in the nearest nature trail with nothing around, and what is there to eat? Like, I can walk around a 5-mile radius of my house, and I don't know what's edible. I don't know what I can eat.
I can walk my own property. I know everything that's edible.
Unless
There's plenty of edible things here.
The only thing I know that's edible is if it moves. then I
But
gotta-
I've actually had training, survival training in Texas, from the Indians on how to live off the land. So as long as I'm in Texas, I'm okay. You get me up there around your neck of the woods, and I might go hungry.
Mhm.
I'm fine in Florida.
I have a question. Are
Yes.
Canadian geese edible? They're a protected species here, but oh my gosh,
They're
they are
protected.
everywhere. There is a law. You
Yeah, it's
cannot hit
illegal.
one
It's
with a
illegal
car.
to kill
Oh,
a
they're totally
Canadian goose.
edible.
It's
They're
illegal to
totally
kill a
edible.
Canadian goose up
Hit
here.
one with the car. People have gotten fined for accidentally hitting them with a car. You cannot hunt them to eat them. But I'm like, if stuff hits a fan,
That's
you're
all
way
right.
over.
Where's this at?
This is in northern Indiana. I live, if you've heard of South Bend at University of Notre
Really?
Dame, I live in a sister city, Mishawaka, and these geese, like, they stop
They're
traffic.
Huh.
they're a
Stop.
very difficult bird to kill.
We
If they're over
we-
if they're
my
over the
yard has
tree
been
if they're
super.
higher than the treetops, you ain't gonna bring one down.
Oh, I
Well, it's
could
like-
with a scope and another thing that attaches to the scope. I could take it down from.
Yeah, as long as they're in season,
Zeph,
as
you
long
were
as they're
saying?
in season, we can hunt them all we want. But that's a
We
federal.
cannot here.
That's
They're
that's a
protected.
federal. They're because they're a migratory bird. They're controlled by the federal.
Okay, so city ordinance. What is city? Is federal Trump city ordinance? Because we have a city.
You can have a city ordinance could trump it because a city ordinance it can control what happens in that city. So you good example would be out in the country. I can shoot my guns as long as my shot doesn't leave my property. It's not an issue. But if I go 3 miles into town, I can't fire off a gun because I'm in town. There's a city ordinance, unless I'm defending myself. That would be a different story. So you could have a local ordinance saying, yeah, you cannot, shoot the geese. You definitely can't shoot them out of season. Now, our season opens up here not this weekend, but next weekend, November the 1st. And I got some ducks out there in my tank that are going to become my supper here if they don't leave pretty soon. But where I used to live, a little farther north from here, my deer lease, we had lesser Canadians that lived on the lease year round. And, it would just kill us because we'd have to wait till November the 1st before we could hunt them. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Canadian geese. I used to hunt them all the time, and I'd make a really good goose gumbo out of them.
Yeah, it's illegal up here in Ohio too. You can't shoot a Canadian goose. They're protected. Yeah.
They come in your yard with a net. You get them.
Yeah, if
That's
you want them
what
bad
I'm
enough,
saying.
you can get 'em.
That's what the 10 gauge shotgun's for. Canadian geese.
Yeah, you just get a net, get some duck food, throw a net over, and bring them in the house. Nobody knows what's going on.
Take them to the duck guillotine.
Yeah.
Goose
I fatten
snapping.
them up.
Goose snapping.
That's it. Fatten them up, and off comes the head. I didn't do it. Took his own head off.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay.
Going back to a previous discussion here, Brian Dish makes a comment. Blood sugar spiking up and staying high is the biggest problem. If it spikes and comes right back down, it's not as bad, and that is true. So
No.
yes, it is. It's true.
No.
So-
That's not what I've been learned.
Well, you don't want it staying high. That indicates a problem, But if I'm saying so if you eat a banana and your blood sugar spikes, but it should come right back down as a functioning pancreas produces insulin to deal with it, then you're probably healthy and just fine. So if it stays high, that's an indication of a problem, like the pancreas not producing enough insulin.
I agree that that's a problem, but the latest research I have read that I trust, and I think this came from Bart K, blood sugar over 155, okay, however it gets there, is not a good thing at all. And, you know, one of the first signs of, so you look at the metabolic factors, okay? Blood pressure, uh, triglycerides, HDL, waist to height, and those are the four. There's one I've left out. I can't. Your blood sugar, okay? But one of the first things you see, if you look at a typical person on the path to diabetes, blood pressure is one of the first things that goes awry. And, you know, Ken Berry has said over and over and over that 5.7 A1C is damaging your capillaries. Your small red blood vessels are being damaged. And you have to do something about that. And in a man, you know, it's the ED that starts rearing its head. And that's one of the first signs of diabetes, or the path to diabetes right there. And I don't know how I have done as well as I have done with the amount of the seriousness of the diabetes I've had in my life. I walked around for years. My blood sugar was probably 300 on average for years. Okay. Part of my problem where I am today. Yes. But, you know, I found out one thing in my life. I'll just say this. You don't know what the other person's gone through. Okay. And, or how it's affected them. Some may do better with certain. We're all going to have a medical crisis. You're going to have at least one medical crisis in your life. You may get it when you're 12. My son got his when he was 12. You got cancer, you're going to die. We'll cut your leg off. We'll try to save your life. Okay. Other people get theirs when they're 65. They had their first heart attack. Okay. Some of us are not as fortunate. We have more than one medical challenge, maybe more than one serious medical challenge. And we have to deal with that. And, you know, I may be somewhat prejudiced in my, I've developed a very strong will to live in the last 5 years. I want to stick around. I'm not going quietly away. And my goal is I want to bury my son-in-law. Okay. I want to go to his funeral. He'll be 80. I'll be 100. I'd like to attend his funeral. Okay. And, it may sound weird, but I don't want to go. I want all my children to be healthy. I don't want to go to any of their funerals. That's the worst thing a parent can ever face. I can't even think of what the stress. Stress is another thing. How do you cope with stress? I have my mechanisms, and I've worked out over the years. I think I've worked out some of them pretty good. I mean, I get mad. I get upset. I have stress. I get an axe. I go out and find a log. And I just chop away at that log to beat hell until I'm too exhausted to stand. That's my stress relief. Exercise at times is a stress relief for me. I can calm down a lot by doing a lot of, body weight exercises. But
Did you say you want to attend your son-in-law's funeral?
Yeah.
You don't like the guy?
No, I just want to live to be 100.
Oh, okay.
We're 20 years different, okay? And we have
you're like, I don't want to see my children's funeral, but that son-in-law, he can go anytime now.
Yeah, well, you'd have to know the person. He's a venomous. He sees blood, he goes after it. Okay.
Okay.
He will tease people to death, and sometimes I think he's abusive. Okay. I've told him this. I'm not saying anything out of his story, I sometimes think of my grandchildren and I go, hey, okay, you've teased them to death. Give it up now. Give it a break now, you know? And but you know, I've had people tell me, they'll say, well, your son's fine now. Forget it, you know, that he had cancer. Well, I can't forget it. And I think but you know, you talk about religion or maybe fate or destiny. There's something to that. I think we're all here for a purpose. I lost my job in 1990 at the golf ball factory in Chicopee, Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts. I got fired as an engineer for Spalding. Okay, greatest job I ever had. I wound up in North Carolina. Okay, my son was he was 5, went to kindergarten. Okay, 7 years later, he's got cancer. We had the greatest doctors. We had the greatest medical care. We had one of the top surgeons in the country. Okay, everything fell in place medically. Everything fell in place, and he lived. And I can tell you, I remember taking my kid into a doctor's office and being turned away. We don't want to deal with this. Go see somebody else. I had a doctor tell me that. Well, where do I go? I don't know. Go see a bone specialist. Whatever. And somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you need to go see Doc so-and-so. If you're going to die tomorrow, he'll tell you. And I had to deal with all that. And I did. And I think there's people that I knew, people I met, people that came into my life. They all helped me get through this. And they helped my son get through it. And I saw people withdraw from my son. They did not want to know him. Why develop a relationship with a young man who's going to die? That's hurt. That's painful. I remember the church we went to, they had a handicapped girl. She was wheelchair bound for life, and she was a teenager, okay? She's a couple years older than my son. And those two became friends, you know, because she understood, okay? More than anybody else, she understood. And he understood. He said, hey, she's reaching out to me. She's being a human being. I need to be a nice guy back to her, you know? And I'm sure it was a joy for both of us. But, you know, so maybe I take diabetes a little harder than other people take it because maybe I'm more strict with myself. You know, I just had an appointment with an endocrinologist, and they're telling me how bad low blood sugar can be. Okay? You don't want to be that much below 70, Paul. You want to be, you know, more like 85. So, yeah, you know, if my blood sugar goes down to 55, I really don't care. Well, I'm finding out that maybe that's not the best. There's people out there who think that's not a good idea. And I'm not talking about going into a coma. I'm just talking about it's more stress on your body than the 85.
Yeah. So, you know, so I understand that so you have type 2 diabetes. And so, you know, you're going to be more of an expert in that than anybody else who doesn't have it. But going back to Brian's comment here, it was already on the screen. So he made a statement that's true, and then you qualified it with additional information that made it sort of untrue. So let me explain this. He said blood sugar spiking up and staying high is the biggest problem. If it spikes high and comes right back down, it's not as bad. Then you brought in the factor of 155 or 150 or whatever Bart K said. Both Brian's statement and Bart's statement, which in turn is your statement, both of those are factually correct. So most people who eat carbohydrates, and most people do, you know, their blood sugar should not spike any greater than 140 is actually the standard. We don't want to see it spike higher than 140, and we don't want it to see it stay elevated for more than a couple hours. And Brian makes that comment also later on. It needs to come down in less than 2 hours. So a person without diabetes, that's what we would expect to see. And if that's what we see, we're not very worried about that person. Now, if we see it spike regularly above 150, like you mentioned, or we see it stay elevated for long periods of time and come down slowly, now we see a problem that needs investigating. There's person's probably pre-diabetic, which is really just another name for type 2 diabetic. And then that person is probably going to want to start thinking about what they eat so they don't endure these spikes above the 140 range, and if they stay elevated for a long time, we might need to do something like take insulin to get those to come down. That implies that the pancreas is not doing the job that it should be doing. It's impaired to some degree or another.
Well, there's a limit to how much. I can eat anything I want if I take enough insulin. Okay.
Right. Yes, that's correct.
Almost. There's a limit, but I think the point I was trying to make that I probably got off on a tangent about was what they're seeing now from what the studies seem to be showing is these spikes above 155 are resulting in tissue damage.
Yes,
okay.
Especially if they happen regularly. Yeah.
And if they happen rapidly, the faster the blood sugar goes up, the more likely it is to do damage. And I don't, which doctor's right, I don't know. But I have heard my endocrinologist tell me that when your if your blood sugar goes up to 155, but it takes it 8 hours to get there, say you start out in the morning at 100, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're at 155 and starting to come back down, that's not a spike. That's kind of a rolling way. I don't know how he said it to me, but so they think that that's less likely to do damage than when it just shoots right up. And even if it does come back, if my blood sugar goes to 220, I can go over here to the refrigerator and I can grab me insulin and I can bring it right back down within 30 minutes.
Yep, that's true.
But how much damage did I do? I don't know.
Well, you wouldn't have done any by taking insulin, but having the sugar that high is the problem. So that's why you don't want to do that.
Yeah. And so I have raised my goal right now is I try to be between 70 and 150. I used to be my goal was just don't go above 130, 130 was my cutoff. I allowed 140, but I wanted to be 130 or less, and I wanted that 95% of the time. And that may not have been the best goal for me. And so I've shifted my lows up, and I've not been below 70. Only 4% of the time am I below 70 now. It used to be a lot more than that. And I've done it by just backing off on my insulin. I'm not injecting as much insulin, so my blood sugar is a little higher now. And maybe, this is just a maybe, I've only been doing this for 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe I'm feeling better. I don't know. I'd say maybe. I don't know.
A similar subject, Frank makes this comment. He says HbA1c 5.8. I've been strict carnivore for 2 years. I can't believe my glucose tolerance test came back. I'm pre-diabetic. Doc said do another and not to walk around in the 2 hours between the next blood draw. Weird. And
I don't know. There's a lot of, even the doctors, even Dr. Berry has said this, and a lot of doctors have said, I've in a personal consultation with Bart Kay, he told me this too. It looks like the A1C for a carnivore is going to be a little bit higher than the A1C for a healthy individual. 5.6 may be the line for diabetic and pre-diabetic, normal and pre-diabetic. For us, for carnivores, it may be more like 6. It could be a half a point higher.
Yeah, and the logic there is that your red blood cells will survive longer once you're adapted to a carnivore diet. And for a typical person, that lifespan is about 3 months. But if you can get an extra 2 to 4 weeks out of yours, then they're going to have more time to glycate, and
Yeah.
therefore your A1C is going to go up a couple tenths of a point.
So
And it
here's the
might not be
question I
anything.
have.
There might not be anything to worry about. So
How
then
did
to finish my thought is
yeah.
I wouldn't get too excited about the 5.8, and you keep doing what you're doing now. You may have just a touch of diabetes, pre-diabetes. This might be just the way it is. Eating carnivore is going to do the best thing you can do, keeping the low carbohydrate, at least keeping eating low carbohydrate, avoiding the sugars is going to be the best thing you can do. And but when people quote unquote reverse diabetes, some individuals, that means they can get off their diabetic medications, they can stop taking insulin. But if they were to return to eating a man-made junk food diet, all those problems would also come back. So cure only in the sense that you have to maintain the lifestyle. So you can't cure it in the sense that, okay, I got my A1C down to 5.5. Now I'm going to eat candy corn and Snickers bars because I'm cured. It doesn't work that way, So that's the only caveat I want to make. When we say cured, that we're talking about not now you don't have to worry about all that. You don't have to worry about the insulin. You don't have to worry about the metformin or whatever else they might have had you on because you're eating a proper human diet.
Right.
But if you stop eating a proper human diet, then you can expect those issues to return again. Okay, you were going to say, Paul?
You really want to be medication free if you're diabetic.
If at all possible. Amy, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I have a question. So for carnivore, what about checking the fasting insulin? Is that higher on carnivores, or does that give it a better accurate,
I would
information?
imagine your fasting insulin would go down on carnivore.
That would show that carnivore is working, the fasting. I think that's what Dr.
Yeah,
Berry recommends.
but a lot of people are reporting. People who've been carnivore for 2 or more years a lot of them are reporting higher fasting insulins. Not dramatically, but they are higher. But there's that's an area where we need more data points. So we don't have enough organized data I don't think to really make a statement about that. I don't know.
And is Rick brushing his teeth? I didn't think he brushed his teeth.
Who, me?
No, Rick.
Oh.
He's over there. Looks like he's brushing his teeth.
Yep.
Oh.
Amy didn't think you brushed your teeth.
I do.
I thought he said he didn't brush his teeth.
Maybe he doesn't use any toothpaste. So all you really need is a brush and some agitation. Yeah. Some people like to use baking soda. Some people like to use this toothpaste. Instead of fluoride, it has, I think it's called hydroxyapatite.
Yes, so funny you mentioned that because I was just on Laura Russell's live earlier tonight. Her live stream was all about how to make your own toothpaste with that exact ingredient.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, is it Boca? I think it's the brand of toothpaste that I think is really popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the one that's got the hydroxyapatite in it. I brush my teeth just a couple times a week, and I still use a fluoride toothpaste. It doesn't bother me. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, Laura said to put that in for whitening.
Yeah. What if you live in Lubbock, Texas? What do you do?
What?
Lubbock, Texas. It's in the soil. It's in the water. It's everywhere. Fluoride.
Sounds like you said Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock.
Lubbock.
LUBB.
Well,
Something.
I didn't do well. I didn't do well in the English language.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I guess you reverse osmosis, filter your water, and do the best you can. But the garden vegetables in that area have a higher rate of fluoride.
This is what I use on my teeth. Lard,
Oh, okay.
Lard, yeah.
Lard.
baking soda,
Baking soda. I do.
mixed
I
with
would
lard.
I would eat that. I would not just brush my teeth with it.
Well, that's the whole idea. With toothpaste, you're not supposed to swallow it. You can eat this stuff. This is lard.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And I haven't had a cavity since I was a kid. I haven't been to a dentist since 1986. If I don't brush my teeth, I got meat stuck in there. I had pork shoulder for lunch. I was chewing on it like a caveman. So those particles, they don't come out.
So, Amy, going back to your question, is yes, a ketogenic or carnivore diet for most people, 99.9% people, should cause the fasting insulin to go down. If it goes up, there's another underlying issue, and that's worth investigating. But for most people, they should see that fasting insulin go down, and naturally, because if you're not consuming carbs, there's no need to produce insulin and release it into the bloodstream. So you'll definitely see that effect. And there's tons of scientific studies on PubMed that I could refer you to that shows that that's the case. So I mean that's actually something that's well proven in the medical industry that nobody really contests. No carbs, low carb, fasting insulin goes down. So all right, let's see here,
Guys, I'm going to call it a night.
All right, Jeff, thanks for sticking with us this long. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good conversation, or otherwise I wouldn't have stayed as long.
All right, yeah, I'll know that when you bail in 30 minutes, I'll know we're boring you to tears.
All right, y'all have a good night.
All right,
We'll see you next week, maybe.
Take
All
care.
Right.
sounds good. Get some sleep.
Be well.
All right. Okay, so we answered that. Let's see here. Booby Goats from earlier. My brother and his ex-wife were vegans, and they would only eat potato chips and just a bunch of chunk. probably junk that made them chunk. So, yeah. So I've seen that too, where oh, I'm vegan, and then you look at what they're eating, and it's like, oh, but it's so unhealthy. You can't be vegan. You can't be vegan and just eat like spicy Cheetos and cookies, Oreos or something all the time. Just like you can't be carnivore and eat nothing but pork rinds for a living. It just doesn't work. It's not the pork rind diet. It's a carnivore diet. You got to have some variety. So,
Well, you got to have the essential ingredients,
like
and
steak and eggs, which we've talked about.
the
Yeah.
fat, the muscle meat of large carnivore or large ruminant animals, and I personally think eggs are a big deal, and the associated fats that go with that meat.
Yep.
And of course, butter's a good fat, and there's other good fats. And my diet is so different now than when I only know two things that carnivore doesn't help or cure. One's amputations. I don't see anybody growing legs again.
That would be sweet.
Well, I'm just saying, Duke University has been working on growing bones for a long time, okay? And the other one is my most recent thing is the what I got, chronic venous insufficiency. But I can't get blood from my feet back up to my heart. There's of all the carnivores I've talked to, they've all said the same thing. It's not getting worse, but the biggest improvement is from exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, as you mature as a carnivore, you're 2 years, 3 years into carnivore, exercise becomes more important. Or maybe I'm just getting older. As we get older, exercise is so much more important, and protein is so much more important as you get older.
Yeah, no, I would agree with both of those statements.
That's my thinking at the moment.
Terry Sue asks, my husband's triglycerides were 250 last week. His doctor prescribed a statin for triglycerides. Why? He said he didn't want it. She said, don't pick it up, but I have to prescribe it. What the hell? So the doctor said, I have to prescribe it, but don't pick it up. That's kind of funny. So who's really in control? Not the doctor, apparently, but probably the insurance company or the network that they're part of. Triglycerides, a statin would have very little effect. That's not statins really. The statins for the LDL, not really for the triglycerides. I wouldn't worry about triglycerides at 250 because mine were 3,000 for months. Okay, because of my kidney condition, and now mine hover around 240 now. I think it was the last time, and I tell you what, I love it because for years mine were in the 700s, and then when I lost a bunch of weight rapidly, they went up to 3,000, stayed up there for a while. Now over time they've come down to 240, which is the lowest I've seen in a while. And that's better than 700. And I've been, like I said, I was 700 triglycerides since at least 2019. That's when I had a blood draw. I could have had it for years ahead of that. So I don't know what kind of eating pattern your husband has. Generally speaking, and I say generally because this actually, what I'm about to say, does not apply to me. Generally speaking, high triglycerides is an indication that you're eating sugar, cake, cookies, pies, high carbohydrate junk foods. And when you cut those out, your triglycerides drop like a rock. That's because your triglycerides are energy. So when you have excess sugars floating around and your cells can't take any more up, then your liver converts it into triglycerides. They float around and eventually get stored as fat. Fat is stored triglyceride. When you're on a ketogenic diet, you're no longer having glucose for energy. Your body, you deplete all your glucose stores. And now you are burning on ketones, which get transported around as triglycerides. So that's why you see them drop, because now you're burning the triglycerides for energy. So, but sometimes during the weight loss phase, as it dissolves off your body and enters in your bloodstream, you see them elevate for a little bit. But once you have reached a stable weight for about 3 to 6 months, all your lipid levels should return to their new normal. So I don't think I'd get excited about a triglyceride of 250 unless that's an indication that he has a poor diet. And if that's the case, address the diet and don't take the statin. Well, I mean, I can't say don't take the statin. I'm not a doctor. So, that's entirely up to you. That's not medical advice, but I would work on diet. I will always choose to work with diet before I choose to work with pharmaceuticals. That's just my opinion.
Well, they tracked me. The pharmacist called the doctor and said he didn't pick up his prescription. He's not taking his medicine. And the doctor called me.
They got their eyes on you.
What?
Feral Grandma says mammoth probably tasted like elephants. Oh, probably. I don't know what elephant tastes like. That's something I haven't tried yet. Chicken, yeah. No, well, elephant's probably a red meat, so they probably taste like elk, buffalo, cow. All the red meats, I imagine. So
I have a question of my own medical issues. I take this. It's BHB, keto BHB. And I can take this. My blood sugar can be like 150. I take 2 of these tablets, 2 of these capsules, and my blood sugar drops to 130, 120 rather quickly within 20, 30 minutes. Why is that?
I'm having to I'm looking up BHB right now.
BHB. It's a salt. It's got a lot of magnesium in it. It says it boosts your ketones, and some people call it I can't pronounce the word the exo ketos. It's like
Is it beta hydroxybutyrate?
Exogenous.
Yeah. Exogenous. That's it. Thank you. Once I hear it, I can say it then. So why does this lower my blood sugar? And I've done this like 50 times, okay? Like it's up to about, and I do different things to see how I can lower my blood sugar, you know? And these things lower my blood sugar.
I don't know. So it's a ketone. It's an exogenous ketone. It looks like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Why does it lower my blood sugar?
I don't know. I'm just
Hey.
doing a little reading.
Yeah, I just, I thought you seem to be pretty knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. And I thought, well, who knows? Maybe he knows this or can figure it out.
I'm just reading real quick because I didn't know what BHB was. I see they sell it as a supplement.
I'm going to shoot off an email to Bart K and ask him why and see if he can shed any light on it.
I'm looking at a study right now.
But I mean, almost every time, and it doesn't have a long lasting effect. It'll last for a couple hours, okay,
Yeah.
and then the blood sugar will start to go back up. And
So I got just some brief points. It suppresses hepatic glucose output and lipolysis. Just technical stuff.
So it's kind of suppressing my liver, making glucose.
Inhibition of gluconeogenesis by limiting substrates such as L-alanine, which is an amino acid. So
yeah, okay,
yeah. So it's
all right.
It's helping or hindering your liver from doing something.
Okay.
That's without studying it in depth. I'm just glancing.
Yeah, that gives me some clues to other things that I kind of know or kind of don't know. And
amelioration of insulin resistance via receptor mediated signaling. So yeah. So it can also create a mild insulin secretion boost. So there you go. You have a pancreas that is not fully functional. Is weak.
Yeah.
This helps it. This helps it kick out a little extra insulin. So that's probably the, out of everything I see on these bullet points, that's probably the most logical one.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Down to the end of my starred comments here. One more. Much of the olive oil is now adulterated with seed oils. Yep. True. And no requirement to inform the consumer. Sad but true. Yes. Refined versus cold pressed coconut oil is just as bad as the hateful 8 seed oils. Oh, that's interesting. That I did not know. Refined coconut oil is just as bad as the seed oils. You want cold pressed coconut oil. I don't like coconut, so I don't buy coconut oil, but that's good to know for those who like to make use of coconut oil. And then I just started these so I wouldn't lose my place. So let's see here. Yeah, it's good about the diabetes. It's not cured, it's under control. Okay. And since I started that one, there's 51 more comments. Let me see here. A lot of I just try to skim over it because a lot of it's just talk. Among the chatters, there's no need to bring all of it on the screen and check all of it, comment on everything. I never could. I think only Rick's able to do that. He comment on every comment. So let me scan here. All right. So Rick, did you have a power outage? Is that what you had commented on earlier? Yeah, I don't hear you. You have no sound. You mentioned you had a power outage and your mic was out.
Oh yeah,
there you go. Now you're back.
We had some rain, and I don't know, the power went on and off, and the internet went on and off, and what can you do?
Yeah. But you got your setup working again, right?
Well, what I did, I fixed my computer, and then I got another little adapter, USB sound adapter. My old ones, they just stopped working, so I went to the computer store, and for $9, I got another one in there and got it working.
All right. Saturday when I tuned into you, your volume was really low.
Yeah.
I had to crank you really high, and then I had my GPS on, so I'm listening to you talk, and I got the volume on like full blast. Then all of a sudden, my GPS is like, "Railroad crossing ahead," and about scared me to death because the volume difference was absurd.
Is the volume better now?
It is, yeah. When you came on, you were loud. I asked you to turn it down, and now it's perfect. Right wherever
Oh,
you have it
good.
set right now is definitely ideal.
Yeah,
So-
so I guess the middle of the range, I'm still using the same mixer, the same microphone. It's just that USB adapter to go from analog to digital. It got screwed up when the computer got screwed up, but I'm still using the same setup otherwise.
Yeah. And Paul, are you on a phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So your volume's louder than most. So you must have a good phone with a good microphone. Either that or maybe it's because you're right in front of it.
Yeah, I'm right in front of it, and it's an old Samsung S22, and
Okay.
I won't be here next Monday. I'll be in Virginia.
Oh yeah. What's down in Virginia? If you don't mind me asking. I mean, if you're
Oh,
going down to rob a
I'm,
bank,
I'm,
if you're
I'm
going down to rob a bank, you don't have to tell me.
oh, okay. Well, I'm looking for a place to live
Yeah.
out my remainder of my years, and I found this place called Hot Springs and Warm Springs. It's in Northern Virginia, and it's like nestled into the Washington and Jefferson National Forest. It's kind of rural. The nearest Walmart's 45 minutes away. They do have an IGA grocery store, but they have a wonderful medical facility in these two small towns. And a doctor I had turned me on to this place. He went there to he's a doctor, but he's also very service orientated. He started his medical career doing volunteer, around the world. Him and his wife, she was a nurse. Now they got 4 kids. Anyhow, he turned me on to this area, and I'm going down to check it out to see if it's someplace I really want to migrate to. And I don't have a lot of income. I mean, I took everything I had to get through life and get my 3 kids off and running, and I don't have a big stash of cash for my retirement. And I'm 69 years old, and in 8 years, Social Security is going to roll back 25%. And so I'm going to have $1,500 instead of $2,000 a month. And I'm looking for the old trailer on a couple acres of land or an old house. And I kicked myself. I was just lack of confidence. I didn't go down there, and I found a house down there for $40,000, and it was in decent shape. And houses in that area run anywhere from 35 to 75,000. Then they jump up to.
Well, you froze, Paul. We lost you. Maybe your battery died.
I have a question, and it was for Paul. Why is Social Security going down in 5 years, $500 a month? Does anyone know that? Because my husband's retiring next year, and that's going to be kind of a big deal for our family.
I don't know
It goes up every year.
Yeah, you would. I would think it would.
Okay.
Go inflation, right?
There is.
The reason is right now, back in 1965, when you retired at age 65, you died 2 years later. So you paid more into Social Security than you took out. So that was a surplus. That money is all, well, they've loaned it to the government, and the government has to pay that back. So right now, all the Social Security pays out more than it takes in every day. Okay.
Right.
And that pocket of money will be gone in 8 more years. And by law, this is the way the laws stand now. Now, maybe the president and Congress will do something different, but right now, as the law stands, they can't pay out more than they got. So it'll be about a 25% reduction. So I get $2,000 a month. I'm very average. That's about the average Social Security check. And so my check will go to $1,500. There's not many places you can live on $1,500.
So do I need to tell my husband he can't retire next year at age 65?
I don't think I'd worry about it.
I'm not going
Take
to.
your
Yeah,
you just
that there's certain benefits that are destined to last, and then I think it's based on the current setup. If things don't change, then you're looking at the availability of funds to be running out by like 2035 or something like that. But I mean, they're just I would expect them to pass laws and somehow fund or finance that,
Well,
in another way. They always do.
didn't
So
they just find a bunch of money by kicking out all the 300-year-olds out of the program?
exactly, yeah. So they're saving a bunch of money that way, and because that's been the whole point of the current administration, to find out where money's being wasted and plug the hole, and so one of the holes in Social Security funds is you've got people that are 300 years old still getting a check, someone's cashing them. You got people that with address in multiple states and they're getting a check to each state and cashing all three checks or all four checks, and so they've gone through and found all that stuff and they've put the kibosh on it. So that's gonna help prevent that fund from wearing out. And again, when the time comes, before the time comes, no matter who's in control, they will find a way to keep this funded so that people getting their Social Security benefits will still get them, and so that keeps up with inflation. So there's the current news looks at current projections and says, and what does the news media like to do? They like to scream fire, so they're, oh my God, the funds are projected to run out by 2035. It's the end of the world. It's 10 years to fix the problem. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. So
you can still work after you. Once you draw your Social Security, you can still work.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So if you're able to still work, you can still work. You can work and make up to a certain amount and still get your benefit.
About $22,000.
Yeah. So that's still a possibility. If push comes to shove, and if you're able to work, you can still work. I mean, I think most people probably that's not exactly what they want to do with their older years, is continue working. But again, I wouldn't worry about it. And again, that comes down to, part of that is my, religious upbringing. Save tomorrow's anxieties for another day. Only worry about the right here and now, so, I wouldn't worry about it. Historically, this has always been, ever since it's been enacted, it's always been taken care of, and it's always been made sure that there was something there. So if the government can bail out the Teamsters Union in 2020, all the retired Teamsters the pension fund was about to run out, and my dad was a Teamster, so like his pension was about to, and they were threatening to slice his pension in half. So he worked all those years, 30 some years at Yellow Freight Trucking Company, and he was saying, like, if they cut his pension, because he collects pension and Social Security, if they cut his pension, he's going to have to go back and get a job. He's talking about, like, I might have to stand at Walmart and hand people carts, just for something. And he wasn't too excited about it. But then I think one of the first things that Biden did when he came into office was pour money into the pension fund so all these Teamsters people could continue to enjoy their benefits. They didn't have to do that, but that wasn't even their problem. The Teamsters Union isn't the government's problem, but the government generously made a donation to it so all these people can continue to get their benefits. So if they can do that for the Teamsters pension fund, then certainly they can do something for the Social Security fund that they actually own and maintain and manage. So
yeah, it probably will work out.
I think so too. And my mother-in-law's my husband and my deceased father-in-law were both Teamsters, and
so
I
is
have
my
to
dad.
fight her to prove she's alive because she's 94, but she still gets his Teamsters pension. But they think she's dead too, and I'm like, no, she's alive in a nursing home. I can prove she's alive, and I have to do that every once in a while for the Teamsters pension.
Yeah, it's just like all military pensions. You have to report like, I don't know, once a year, once every 2 years. Show you still got a pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian's comment here: if the politicians let this happen, they'll lose their jobs and no one will reelect them. So that's
sure.
yeah. So if they want to continue to hold their seats in office, which is in their minds is power and prestige, then yeah, they're gonna take care of this. So, and then and whether either side, whichever side
Yeah, it
makes
don't
it
matter.
happen, they're gonna think they have bragging rights. So and Cranky Carnivore says, "Don't worry about it. It's not ideal. Hound your congressional representative to take action." So yeah, so you can do that if you want. I just think enough people will, and something will get done. I'm saying, when I say don't worry about it, I'm saying I would not live day to day with this internalized anxiety over what's going to happen in 2033 when it's still only 2025. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Right.
So, what will most likely happen is they will raise the age for younger persons and increase Social Security taxes for workers and employers. That might be. So, all right. The Democrats are in bed with the unions. That's probably true too. I don't know. So, I'm I'm politically neutral, so I don't pay attention to a whole lot. I only comment on it when I see something stupid. And that's why I want to. Sometimes I think about starting another channel where I talk about things that I see that are stupid, or my religious background, or just whatever's on my mind. Music, movie reviews, or whatever. There's other things I'd like to talk about besides carnivore sometimes, but I don't feel like it's appropriate for this channel because people come here looking for carnivore advice or health advice, like Terry Sue here, and Rockin' Keto Amy is going to follow up next. She says, my cholesterol was good before carnivore and it's still good. No drastic changes. That's excellent. Because most people, well, I won't say that. So some people say they see their cholesterol stay the same. Some people actually see it improve. And then some people see it go up.
Yeah.
And they don't think of that I think going up could be an improvement depending on what your health before.
That's what Barry says. Yeah.
Yeah. Amy says, when I increase my fat, my cholesterol goes up. Yeah, yep. Same here. And like when I go through a period of time where I eat butter bites, LDL through the roof. So I got into butter bites and I was making them all the time and snacking on them every day for like a month. And then I went and got a lipid panel and my LDL was through the roof. And my PCP flipped out, referred me to an endocrinologist, which I see in January. So, because I'll humor them. I'll go see what, I don't mind having the conversation, so.
So we really don't know a lot about how our body adapts to carnivore when we get beyond, 2, 3, 4 years. I just assume everything's going to keep continually getting better and better and better, I mean, my blood sugars will be more steady. My risk of heart attack is going to be the same or less. And things are just going to continue to improve. I may have new health issues or crises, but they would have been worse or come sooner if it hadn't been for carnivore, is my opinion.
Right. I know if it wasn't for carnivore, I would be in bad shape right now. Probably on dialysis, 250 pounds, fatigued, barely able to work. I know that was the trajectory I was heading on before I, had the carnivore intervention and made changes. So the LDL, so like, when your body stores energy in lipoproteins, it actually starts as VLDLs, very low density lipoprotein. That's carrying your triglycerides. And so if you have high triglycerides, you have high VLDLs. And as that drops off triglycerides to the cells that need it, then that VLDL becomes an LDL, and it eventually makes its way back and gets packaged again for new stuff. So you think of the LDL, the lipoprotein, as a boat, and the cholesterol and the fats that are inside that boat is what they're transporting to your cells. So if you're a carbohydrate eater, it's insulin being shuttled around for energy. I'm sorry, glucose being shuttled around for energy, with insulin used to bring it into the cells. When you're a fat burner, then it's the VLDLs and the triglycerides shuttling things around. So you're gonna so would it be natural to expect to see some of those numbers go up? Absolutely. Foxy Joe says my triglyceride shot up to 359 after 6 months of strict carnivore. My question would be there is do you have any underlying health issues that you're aware of? And if you're unaware of it, what kind of tests have you had done? Thyroid, liver, kidney would be the first places I would look. And then my last question would be, have you been in a state of weight loss? Like, not whether it's rapid or steady over that 6 months of carnivore, have you been in a weight loss pattern, and again, because when you dissolve the fat off your body and it enters into your bloodstream, that's stored triglyceride. So when it goes from your stored jiggly areas and into your blood, you're going to see that increase in triglycerides. So until it's shuttled around and burned. Okay. Mine went up high because I have damaged kidneys, and your body produces an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase that helps break down that 3-chain fatty acid so it can be used as energy. I spill that enzyme in my urine, just like I spill protein in my urine. So my triglycerides last longer than most people's triglycerides, in the same manner that a carnivore's red blood cells might last longer than a non-carnivore's. So my triglycerides run high because I'm spilling that protein that breaks them down. So that's why there could be, in my case, it's an underlying health issue. And you combine that with rapid fat loss, or not even rapid, just fat loss in general, a state of weight loss. You're currently losing weight and my numbers go up. That's why I say that when you reach your goal weight and your weight stable for about 3 to 6 months, then check your lipids. That's a better reflection of what's really going on in your body than a snapshot of while you're currently losing weight. So that's just based on my personal triglyceride experience and research. So hope that helps. I'm gonna hide that comment.
You explain these things pretty good.
Oh.
You could be a college professor.
Leave politics out of it. So, did you enjoy my thumbnail? I made the thumbnail kind of as a spoof on the the Saturday's protests that they had. Instead of no kings, it's no carbs. So yeah, I don't get into protesting. Again, I don't like to share religious or political commentary on this channel, but if you know me, I think protesting is for suckers, regardless of what side you're on, and it's a lot of wasted time, a lot of noise, a lot of wasted time, and it accomplishes nothing. And this last one I think is absolutely ridiculous because there's no king to be protesting, so it's kind of like the dumbest thing ever. So, and yeah, downtown, my local downtown, you have there's a bunch of people holding signs, and I mean, most of them were like, blue and purple haired chubby women. So, just mad for no reason. That's what it is. Just mad for no reason. Kind of, I can't wrap my head around it. So, oh well. So, but what a cause I can get behind is meat heals. Control your carb intake. Stay away from junk food. That is a cause worth living for, because that actually, when you get people to get on board with that actually makes a difference in people's lives. And that's why I have this channel. That's why I do these lives. That's why I talk about carnivore all the time, because right now I don't know anything. There's nothing that I've said or done probably through my life that has probably changed lives more than talking to them about their diet. So that gets me exciting. So Akron, yeah. So yeah. I was thinking of Kent, which is That's where I grew up. Silly, artsy, liberal college town, Akron. I don't really know what the community is like over there. We call it Crackron. So actually, there's a lot. I do a lot. I have a business in the area, so I do a lot of work in Akron. There's a lot of nice areas over in Akron. So, let's see here. This was a good comment. I would say it all depends on what damages were made prior to carnivore. That's true. So if you've spent 50 years pummeling your body with junk food, no exercise, chemicals like alcohol and tobacco, and then you're trying to turn things around, you can, but the size of the ship you're trying to steer is much bigger than had you kind of tried eating right and didn't smoke and weren't a big drinker, and you have less. The more damage you have done, the more time it's going to take to heal. And one would expect, as Dr. Berry would say, like, how many years did you take putting yourself into this condition? Don't expect to in 90 days to completely reverse it. So it could take you years to completely really reverse some of these health conditions.
This whole internet YouTube thing carnivore may be the biggest story. Nothing was YouTube and the internet may have affected carnivore, propelled carnivore to where it is today and to where maybe it ever goes, more so than any other thing. We may look back 20, 30, 40 years from now and say, wow, look what the internet did for carnivore. That may be because it's all word of mouth. Look,
and
everybody's
spreads on social media like lightning. There's people today watching in India. We had someone in the chat, so they were watching from India. Yeah.
I mean, it's there's probably not a country that doesn't have at least one carnivore in it. Have you ever thought about what you're going to do if, like, we do have let's just say beef becomes priceless? It gets just so high, so scarce. You'd be lucky if we could eat beef once a week, okay? What are you going to do? I mean, I have my own ideas of what I'm going to do, but
raise cows.
Well, everybody can raise a cow, and raising a cow. People say, "Well, I'm going to raise cows," or "I'm going to get my own beef." Well, I've done that when I was a kid, and you can't raise one cow hardly. It gets lonely. It gets sick. Okay, you can raise two. Okay, they'll keep each other company. And you go to three, one of them three is going to get sick because he's worried it ain't going to get enough to eat. It eats too fast. It has all kinds of digestive problems. But once you get to 4 and 5, now you got the herd. And you got the herd mentality, and they sort themselves out. Cows they're dumb, but they're also really smart. You know what a cow does when it goes out into the pasture and finds a woodchuck hole? Fills it in. They take their feet and they scrape the dirt back in the hole so they won't stumble in it. And so the other members of the herd won't get hurt in it. It's amazing and some cows actually know how to eat and grass in a organized fashion that they don't ever get poop on their food. They're that smart. Or they're that adapted, I should say. They're not really smart. They're stupid.
Yeah,
you can't tell a cow anything.
Yeah. So to continue on that question, by the way, Rick says his computer crashed, and so that's pretty obvious. Rick's not one to just ditch like that. So hope you get that fixed and getting working in time for Saturday. You got 6 days to get that fixed now. All right. Cranky Carnivore said, and this is kind of leaning towards what I'm thinking, time to raise quail in the closet. So if beef becomes so expensive that it's a luxury, then I'll probably learn how to hunt. because every month of the year and fish. So I'll probably fish, and I'll probably hunt deer when it's deer season. I'll probably hunt various birds when it's in season. So I don't hunt. My dad was a hunter. It was never my thing, just because I'm the video game generation. So but if it became too expensive to buy my food, then I would learn to hunt and go get it myself. That's what I would do. So, yeah, and just like Rick, like I'll eat whatever meat I can find. If you've seen his video of trying to capture that iguana, he means business when he says he'll eat whatever he can find. Yeah. And Brian says that's when I become a hunting and fishing coach. Yeah, that's what Carnivore Talk will become, hunting and fishing talk. That's what.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, when everybody else is out there, the deer and the rabbits and the pheasants and the quail aren't going to last long.
What if everybody hunted? I don't know. I mean, we don't really have a food shortage problem in the sense of the earth doesn't produce enough food. We have a food shortage problem in the sense that human greed stops it from getting to who needs it. So the earth provides an abundance of food.
Oh, I've done the calculation.
In the form of meat, fruit, vegetables, and grains. I mean, so there's the areas where there's no food, or people that can't afford food, or countries that don't get enough food. It's for poverty reasons, which is a problem with greed. So you got. I mean, there's the restaurants around here throw out all kinds of food every day. And then you got people in the same city sleeping on benches that can't get any food in their stomachs. So I'm not worried about the Earth's production. I'm not worried about running out of squirrels, rabbits, deer, or anything like. We have a deer problem here in Ohio.
Yeah, I lived in upstate New York. I know.
Yeah, and they'll bring people in here to cull the deer population because it'll get out of hand so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, so no, I mean there always be plenty to eat if you have the means of buying it, or the means of hunting it, or the means of growing it. So if beef becomes a luxury, and I can't eat it every day. And there's already meats out there that that are crazy expensive and you can't eat every day. Then you'll find something else to eat, and you'll survive off of that just fine. And if it's carnivore, you'll probably be okay. So it's 11:30.
Yes, I need to drop off.
Good night.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Good
So
night.
glad that both of you stuck around. The last week I was down to my lonesome self for like the last 15 minutes. So
were you really?
Yeah.
Well, you are. I certainly do appreciate you here, and I like your thought process a lot of times, and this kind of helps me, and I need something to hold on to sometimes, and
All right,
until I get some of the problems solved, but
well, thank you, Paul. Keep doing what
no
you're
problem.
doing with your diet and managing your diabetes.
Yeah.
Amy, hope you have a speedy recovery from your surgery.
I feel great.
Yep. And
You look
everybody
good.
that's here in the chat, there's still 33. What do we got? We got 32 on YouTube and 1 on Facebook watching. So thank you for hanging on to the end. We went a little extra long today to three. Oh my God, 3.5 hours. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to say good night.
Good night. Take care now.
Be on the lookout for interviews soon. And, we'll see you next Monday here for another roundtable discussion with whoever wants to join us on screen. And in the meantime, if you have any questions that you want answered that are more lengthy, come over to carnivoretalk.com and feel free to post over there. That's where we are throughout the week. And,
okay.
Yep. So just like right under my name, carnivoretalk.com. So
okay.
All right. So thank you again, everybody. I love you all. Have a great night. Peace.
You too now. Bye-bye.
Bye.